I think, last week.
Were you talking to him last week?
What's
the scandal with Mick?
No, not Mick. Leo Sayer.
Yeah, what's the crack with him?
See, that was a remix. That's Thunder in My Heart from Leo Sayer.
So Leo, I didn't know Leo was on last week.
Leo Sayer was on it.
Was he?
Couldn't get him off.
Serious?
Yeah, he was on for ages.
Just,
Great.
come on, if you want to talk anymore, come around the house for a cup of tea.
Yeah, but they took us. What happened was that with me and the listeners, we were chatting. I says, "All right, we'll leave it there." Then
was it on Zoom or was he in the studio?
on Zoom in Australia.
Was he?
Yeah, so he says, "No, come here. I'll show you the recording studio." So we picked up the laptop and we
Get
went into.
away!
I swear, we went into the recording
joking.
studio. Yep, and I says, "Wow, that's lovely. Thanks, Leo. Listen, don't want to take up much more of your time." He says, "Well, wait till I show you the posters here." And then he went up, showed us the posters and of him performing as a young man in Cork. No, he's brilliant, lovely fella.
Great guy.
He's my friend now.
So what was the idea? I know it's
He's touring in July.
Oh, right,
in
okay.
Ireland, yeah.
Right, is he up this way, is he?
Belfast, I think, is the closest.
Well,
He's 77 and
very good.
full of life.
Seeing he has a studio, he says, "Well, sure, I'll pop over to you in the New Year. We'll do a broadcast live from your studios."
Yes, me.
What do you think? He says, "Come on over. Take that other young buck behind you there."
But it's very important, I think, that two of the most vibrant young broadcasters in Irish media are platformed in Australia.
I think we need to go to Australia.
Yeah,
Can we not go to Australia to do a broadcast? What are you aiming at?
I think I'd go to America first or something.
No, forget America. No.
America, eh?
I would go to America, surely. But, and you just the distance, is it?
It's just the handling, isn't it?
Come on. Don't be kidding.
It's just a long way.
Come
but
on,
anyway, I'll go. If someone wants me to go, I'll
Australia
go.
or... What state in America do you want to go to?
New York.
New York.
Or Boston.
Boston, yeah. Let's make it happen for Paddy's Day.
If we're still welcome.
Can we not do that?
We need a sponsor.
We shouldn't be talking about this on the radio. Somebody else might go.
Maybe there's a company wants to sponsor us.
Yeah, that's good. Fly us out to Boston and we'll do the couple of programs.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Oh, sorry. Right. John Breslin's actually in New York on St. Patrick's Day.
Is he?
He's just been booked.
John, you devil, yeah. He probably is. I wouldn't put it past him. Good on, John.
All right.
Have a good show, right?
Thanks, Lee. All right. It is the 9 to Noon show here on Highland Radio, and time for a news update at 9 o'clock. And it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. School children in Letterkenny with special needs are said to be facing intolerable delays travelling to and from school due to the town's traffic congestion. Into Representative Rebecca McDade, who works as an SNA on a school bus, says parents are extremely worried about the knock-on effect the delays are having on their children. She says there is much talk about many road projects planned for the town, yet chronic traffic issues persist. Ms McDade says issues need to be resolved once and for all.
There's been so much talk about doing different things. I still believe that the Bunnagee Bridge is definitely something that needs to be done. And there are other proposals on there as well for other roads that can be widened and new roads made. We cannot wait any longer. The children on the buses, some of them are non-verbal and they get extremely frustrated when they're sitting in traffic. And we cannot have that.
A sum of money has been stolen from a service station in Ballybuffet. It's understood a number of people entered the commercial premises on the Donegal Road at around 8 o'clock last night before making off with the cash. Gardaí say investigations are ongoing. There's calls for a three-part strategy to be implemented to support the efforts of Tidy Towns groups in Donegal. Councillor Joy Beard has proposed a rollout of a targeted awareness campaign, additional signage and a pilot project targeting the disposal of pizza boxes. Donegal County Council's Director of Water and Environment, Michael McGarvey, confirmed that the motion would be explored. Councillor Beard believes if provided, the measures would be hugely beneficial in keeping towns and villages clean.
We're just looking to improve efficiency for waste collection as well. So as I've seen it, these are simple, low-cost steps that can make a real difference to the cleanliness, of our public spaces. Our Tidy Towns team do amazing work, and the work that those volunteers do is amazing. And they deserve full support in anything we can do to help.
Meanwhile, Buncrana Tidy Towns Initiative has written to Donegal County Council and councillors to highlight what they say is the lack of basic services in the town. The letter signed by the group and local businesses calls for the road sweeper service in the town to be reinstated on a 5-day-a-week basis. Emily Keegan has more.
In the letter delivered to Donegal County Council and councillors, which is calling for the road sweeper service to be fully reinstated, Buncrana Tidy Towns Initiative say they were left seriously aggrieved and let down after noting that despite being cleaned, not one piece of litter was removed from the footpaths along the town's main street on Monday of last week. The group says they believe it's not solely their job to keep Buncrana clean. They say the least the town deserves is that the road sweeper be rostered to its previous schedule of 5 days per week. Given that Buncrana is the second largest town in Donegal with many visitors. The group says clean streets are essential for the community's health, livelihoods, safety and appearance.
Weather now today will bring a good deal of cloud, but some bright or sunny breaks also, along with scattered showers. Highest temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
This May, there are 9 must-be-won prizes of €250,000 for Irish Euromillions players. Not maybe won, must be won in May. Play Euromillions for your chance to be one of 9 guaranteed winners of an extra €250,000. The National Lottery. It could be you. Play responsibly, play for fun.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here on Highland Radio. It is 5 minutes past 9 and it is Wednesday the 28th of May 2025. Hope you're all very well. How is your day going so far? How has your week been so far? Let us know. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number. It's available for you to pass on any messages you might have, raise your issues. And if there's anything we can help you with, please get in touch with us. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000, and your emails come in to us on comments@highlandradio.com. And if you're listening to the podcast or the repeat of the show, the overnight repeat, feel free to send in your emails, by the way. We love your views whenever you send them, and we can carry them over into the next live show. So whether you're listening live or on demand or through the repeat, all of your views, very, very welcome indeed. And of course, you can watch the show if it does suit you. We're on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News, Sport and Obituaries. On the X platform as well, Highland Radio, it's as simple as that. And on YouTube, it's Highland Radio Ireland. And the thing with YouTube is you can pause, you can rewind, you can watch it on your big TV at home or your Fire Stick or any device that has the YouTube app on it as well. So lots of people watch on YouTube, lots of people watch on X, and they've kind of overtaken Facebook now, believe it or not. Facebook used to have Facebook Watch, which was great because you had an app on your telly, you could watch Facebook videos, but for some reason they got rid of that. But anyway, in terms of how you consume us, YouTube and X actually are the most popular, which is interesting. Right, let's look at some of the papers this morning. The Finn Valley Voice, funeral of the late Bernie Cranley on Thursday. The funeral of the late Bernie Cranley, who died following a collision on the A5 near Omagh, takes place tomorrow, Thursday, at St Patrick's Church, Murlog, Lifford, at 3 p.m. On to the nationals now. We'll start with the Irish Times this morning, and Ireland falls further behind on emissions targets. Now, it has to be said, I think we all saw this coming. As soon as 1 million cars by 2030, 1 million electric cars by 2030 was announced as a solution, I was thinking, right, okay, we all know that's not going to happen. Then when they started talking about new technology to reduce farm emissions, that was aspirational. That technology simply didn't exist. And I'm only going back 2 or 3 years ago. And as I say, one was that there'd be 1 million electric cars on the roads, nonsense. But 2, that, in some way we'd develop brand new technology to reduce emissions. The emissions from cars is actually going up, it has to be said. But anyway, more generally speaking from the article, Ireland is projected to achieve a reduction of just 23% in total greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, compared to a national target of 51%, according to the latest EPA projection. The widening performance gap represents a significant worsening on last year, when a 29% reduction was projected by decade end, after a fall in the country's overall emissions of nearly 7% in 2023. Well, the widening gap to the emission reduction target of 51% in Ireland's Climate Act is driven by updated information provided by government bodies. The EPA says the data was factored into its modelling. The latest data indicates none of the biggest emitting sectors, transport, agriculture, buildings and energy, will meet 2030 legally binding targets. this is even unlikely to be achieved under the most optimistic scenarios, including full implementation of the government's climate action plan. Now, the problem with this is it's not just simply saying, oh, well, sure, we knew that wouldn't happen. We signed up to this, so we are on the hook for billions of euros of fines from the EU. But look, I mean, if we're going to still continue to build buildings with concrete and concrete blocks and all that type of stuff, that's an issue. Wind and solar, it blows and it shines at times, but we're not really storing it to use it when we need it. The electric car targets were never going to be met, that has to be said, because it was always nonsense. And of course, in terms of farming, it's a very vibrant industry, and you can't plug cows' bums or whatever might be causing the issues. So anyway, it's going to hit us financially big time. Of course, extensive coverage of the incident in Liverpool in all the papers today. I'll take it from the Irish Independent for now. And please have a lot of questions to answer after a car is believed to have tailgated an ambulance through a roadblock at Liverpool FC's Premier League victory parade and ploughed into a crowd of fans, injuring 65 people. A top security expert has warned the horrifying incident should never have happened, as officials face tough questions about safety measures at Monday's event, which saw up to 1 million fans flock to the city's streets. A 53-year-old man arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and drug driving will be quizzed by police, or was being quizzed by police last night, as police scoured CCTV to work out how the car was able to reach road closures or breach them. And it wasn't the only car there. I was looking through some footage yesterday, not of the gruesome incident itself, but in the lead up to it. And there seemed to be other cars driving through. But we've seen that outside Croke Park as well. I remember exiting Croke Park, and the road was referenced yesterday. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And cars were pulling in and out of driveways and moving very slowly amongst the crowd. So it's not something I haven't seen myself. Just to recap, 11 people remain in hospital after a Ford Galaxy struck fans, driven by a driver of course, on Water Street off the main parade route on the Strand at around 6 p.m, leaving some trapped under the vehicle. Merseyside Police Assistant Chief Constable Jenny Sims said there was a roadblock in place, but it was temporarily lifted for an ambulance to reach a man suffering a suspected heart attack. And of course, the driver tailgated in, and then the chaos ensued. I don't know if this is going to be relevant to any of you listening or your family, but it's been described as chaos because Donald Trump halts all student visas into the States. The future of many young Irish students was thrown into chaos yesterday after the White House ordered US embassies to halt foreign student visa applications. In a major escalation of the Trump administration's battle with the higher education system, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has told officials to stop scheduling appointments with students' visa applicants as they prepare to implement a social media vetting process. A memo which had been, it's funny, we were talking about this a couple of months ago, when people were being discouraged from going over and protesting in the United States. And I remember asking the guest at the time, people would need to really purge their social media. And he agreed, I believe, at the time. Little did I know that the Trump administration would actually be setting up a system to scour people's social media. Well, a memo which had been obtained by news website Politico states, effective immediately in preparation for an expansion of required social media screening and vetting, consular sections should not add any additional students or exchange visitors and visa appointment capacity until further guidance is issued. Now, I wonder, have any of you been affected by that? Were maybe you yourself, or maybe the younger people in your house, were they scheduled to have a meeting to obtain a visa to go to America? That is a problem. Children have been catastrophically failed by Children's Health Ireland in a string of failures that have breached trust, the Dáil has heard. The Irish Daily Mirror reports that just days after a report into hip dysplasia surgery in children, and a Sunday Times report that procedures on children had been delayed due to the decision to move them from public to private waiting lists, Health Minister Jennifer Carroll-McNeill confirmed 3 board members of Children's Health Ireland had resigned. The Sunday Times reported that a consultant breached HSE guidelines by referring patients he was seeing in his public practice to his weekend private clinics rather than securing earlier treatment for them by referring them to HSE colleagues. Now, there is a system in place whereby consultants in hospitals can refer people, but every option for that person to receive treatment in the public hospital has to be exhausted. And it's done through the National Treatment Purchase Fund. And quite interestingly, a large percentage of national, if you think of the NTPF, National Treatment Purchase Fund, you think Northern Ireland, you think Britain, you think Spain, wherever. But almost half, I think it's almost half of treatments through the National Treatment Programme actually happen in public hospitals, which was news to me. I didn't realise that. Well, the newspaper, The Times, said the consultant was paid thousands of euros through the state's National Treatment Purchase Fund, which pays private practices to treat patients in public waiting lists. More aggro within RTE, and this is kind of a strange one, really, and I'm just imagining if Highland Radio were to do a promotion about sort of DJs and the news team and what have you, but hire in actors, it would seem very, very strange. I would wonder, well, why would you do that? But anyway, RTE is facing growing fire over a controversial marketing campaign which uses actors to play journalists in the newsroom. Reporters were left stunned by news of the broadcaster's proposed promotional video. Workers are also furious that RTE spruced up the newsroom for the cameras, including the introduction of new plants which were removed when filming ended. So the production company came in and said, your workspace looks a bit tack, we're going to tart it up, but then they took the stuff with them when they were finished. Well, as the fallout over the promo continued yesterday, the chair of the Oireachtas Media Committee blasted Donnybrook bigwigs for using actors instead of staff, insisting it just doesn't sit right. I can't see the logic to it. I'm struggling to see why you would hire in actors to operate in the newsroom. But anyway, that's an RTE matter. But it's a matter for us, I suppose. We pay for it as well. Very lastly, Tesla sales in Europe have plunged last month despite increasing growth in the electric car market. The brand is suffering a backlash against billionaire chief Elon Musk over his political views. Sales in 32 countries fell by 7,261 in April from 14,228 in the same month in 24, said the European Automotive Manufacturing Association. At the same time, sales of battery electric vehicles by all manufacturers soared by 28%. BYD is a big player now in the game. There's another, is it Extreme, that have launched in Ireland now. I believe a lot of their vehicles are electric. But it just goes to show what public opinion is and how it can sort of, the shockwaves can go around the world, whilst Elon Musk might have thought he was doing the right thing, going in with Doge and cutting government spending and what have you, he was very political and of a very particular political leaning, and it has impacted on Tesla. Their sales have halved in Europe, and it's kind of seen as a little bit of a toxic brand now. He stepped back from the government. It's interesting, very, very few of the Doge recommendations have actually been voted through, so he kind of wasted his time, if the truth be told, and Tesla paid the price. It has to be said. Right. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, and it's a very busy show. We've got an awful lot to cover. We're going to be across all the big stories affecting you here in the Northwest. We'll have some stuff that might help you learn a little bit about one thing or another, and of course we'll be chatting to just people from this area, hearing their stories and hearing their views. That's what we do.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town, they have fantastic packages on full home renovations. Whether you're looking to update your kitchen, bedroom or living room, visit cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
A public service announcement from Donegal County Council. Did you or a family member from Donegal work in Scotland between 1940 and 1990? If so, you are invited to be part of the forthcoming Working Over By exhibition by recording a short video on your smartphone with your memories of that work and the working conditions. If you submit a video, you'll be in with a chance to win a return flight for 2 people between Donegal and Glasgow. Send your smartphone video by Friday, May 30th via WhatsApp to 087 360 3463. Full details are on the County Donegal Heritage Office website at donegalculture.ie. Donegal County Council, preserving the heritage of Donegal in partnership with the Heritage Council.
Aidan's just missed the ice cream van and can hear the song fade into the distance. But it's no bother, as Mam stocked up for summer with Aldi's specially selected luxury Irish ice cream, Madagascan vanilla, for only $2.99. He's also been treated to delicious 100% Irish fresh strawberries. Ooh! New season, Board B quality assured, and only $2.65. The ice cream van's nothing but a distant memory. Good food, good mood from Aldi. While stocks last.
At Hidden Hearing, we believe you should keep hearing it all. Keep dancing. Keep celebrating. Keep laughing. Keep being you. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie and book a free hearing test today. Hidden Hearing. Your hearing is our expertise.
Worldwide travel made easy from Donegal Airport. Twice daily Aer Lingus flights via Dublin connect you to Aer Lingus and Qatar's global network. Enjoy a smooth journey. Book now at aerlingus.com and start your next adventure from Donegal Airport.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is just approaching 19 minutes past 9, and you're welcome back to the programme. Now, a meeting of the HSE's Regional Health Forum was held this week, and as you can imagine, the issue of the surgical hub was brought up. We have learned that Sligo was to get a surgical hub, and I heard the reasoning for it was based on population, which is really quite remarkable if that is the case. But Letterkenny University Hospital has lost out. Councillor Jerry McMonagle raised the issue at the Health Forum. Good morning to you, Jerry. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, so what did you raise at the forum? What was your question?
Well, look, after the recent visit by the Health Minister to Letterkenny, she stated in an interview with yourself and also to ourselves who were present that there's no decision yet on the siting of a proposed surgical hub for the Northwest. So on the back of that statement, I asked the question that we would make a business case for the surgical hub to be sited at LUH, and asked the HSE to support that proposal. So yesterday we got a response that the LUH had identified the need for a standalone facility to be developed on a Letterkenny campus to provide ambulatory non-inpatient care. And the hospital is currently working with HSE, Keble and Estates. And what they were saying is that this was a bigger and better sort of than what the surgical hub would be. It would be on a par with that, and that then there would be additional diagnostic facilities, etc., etc.
The problem with that is that we would probably, with the right will, see a surgical hub work on that begin in months. The problem with the ambulatory centre is that there's not even an approved drawing for you. It is literally just a notion at this point. And there are multiple stages it would have to pass through before even it could be considered for funding. We're talking about years and years and years and years away. And I'm not being negative here, but I think it's very important. And I'm not suggesting you're doing this for a moment, Councillor, but people understand the difference between a surgical hub and how quickly that might be delivered, and this notion, and that's all it is at this time, this notion of an ambulatory centre which will be years and years away.
Yeah, and that's the exact same points I made yesterday at the HSE West Forum meeting, Greg. This is an idea. They're sitting down to discuss it. It would be brilliant if it was delivered, but it's years away. It's years away. It as you say, it has to go through a discussion, a business case, and then there's detailed design, approval, and appraisal. There's tendering for it. There's then a planning. I get into the planning process. Then there's the construction if we're successful, and all of the other issues we have to go through, and if we get the funding. So there's a lot of ifs, mights, and maybes. Whereas the surgical hubs is, as I said yesterday, that is a strategy of the HSE. They're going to locate 6 new surgical hubs around the country, and one of them is going to be in the Northwest. There's a package of money there for it, and what we should be doing is looking for that. And I thought with the issues and the problems that we have at Letterkenny University Hospital down through the years, that we have the capacity for, and we also have the population of 167,000 people in Donegal, and it's something we really need.
The thing that people will have concerns about is that I'm not sure the hospital can wait. and I'm sure there are many patients listening now that might have ended up accessing a surgical hub and had better outcomes. They certainly can't wait. The hospital is in dire straits, as you know, in terms of staffing and funding and what have you. And I would just have concerns that it can't wait for this idea to come to fruition. Would you share those concerns?
Yeah, and I spoke about them concerns yesterday. We are the second busiest Model 3 hospital in the country, and the only Model 3 is busier than us is Drogheda, and that's within 45 minutes of multiple Model 4 hospitals who have all of the things we're discussing here, all the facilities, all the services. We're totally underfunded at Letterkenny University Hospital. Our funding per patient is among the lowest in the country, and we can't wait any longer for this type of facility to be put in place at LUH. Look, I said yesterday and described the bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. This, and it is a great concept, but it's coming far too late. And I wonder, and you have to wonder at times, is it this just been put in there now to sort of cloud over the fact that we didn't select Letterkenny University?
Well, that's the responsibility of our
surgical hub.
Yeah, that's the responsibility of RTDs to hold the minister to account, to ensure that. Ask her in the Dáil, you said, during a recent visit to Letterkenny University Hospital, a decision hasn't been made. We know for a fact that the decision had already been made at that point. Has the government signed off on this? Or is she going to send it back to the HSE for it to be reviewed? Because she seriously needs to have a look at the chain of command here, because she's saying one thing publicly, and I don't believe she's been in any way misleading, but we also know that plans are progressing in a different direction behind her back. So, I believe she needs to be challenged or advised to say, does she need to send this back to the HSE for consideration to... we don't want to take something from Sligo to our benefit, but if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Or at least to consider another surgical hub in a big population area such as Letterkenny University Hospital. Is there a window here? Has the government signed off on Sligo?
No, well, as the minister said, and you were there, you asked her the question, and she stated no, they hadn't. And what I have to say is, in fairness to our TDs and our TDs and the Regional Health Forum members and Senator Niall Blaney were present at a meeting when this information was first imparted to us and the reasons why. Mm-hmm. And there was horror and aghast at that meeting. Mm-hmm. And
have you any idea? Have you any idea why, out of interest, politically, no one spoke about it after that meeting? You said everyone was privy to it. Why was no statements issued from any of those politicians, I wonder? The reasons why you just outlined there previously, Greg, this has to go to the ministers. All the TDs and RACTIS members on the call, and indeed the Regional Health Forum members, said that they would do that they would get a focus on it, they would seek meetings with the minister, and that they would also try, and they implored Tony Canavan and Sean Murphy, who's the manager in the hospital, and Dermot Monaghan, the manager of the HSE here, to put together the business plan for the surgical hub. And quite clearly, the answer I received yesterday, that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think Mr. Canavan has to answer questions on that. And look, we need to go above his head. He took this decision himself, he said. He based it on flawed information. Did he base it on population?
He referenced that.
Yeah. So how does that work? How does that work? I mean, my suspicion is that maybe they're using patients that are going down for procedures from Donegal. Maybe the injections in the eyes, for an example, or ears, or skin conditions, or what have you. Are they using the raw population, or are they using sort of everybody that goes through Sligo University Hospital? Because if it's the latter, we shouldn't have to travel down there in the first place. And I think it would be very misleading to massage the Sligo figures with Donegal patients that shouldn't have to travel there in the first place. So do you know if it's based on that type of stuff, or is it raw population?
What I think personally, and he didn't, when it was sort of put to him, he didn't deny it, but he based the population thing on, like, it's west, northwest, that he based it on the population of Roscommon, Leitrim, and possibly West Cavan, which is under, the auspices of the
So he presumably pulled in south of the Lahey line as well then, so from Donegal into that.
I would imagine so. But he didn't look as if he was fairly confident about it. He didn't want to answer. He certainly didn't want to answer the questions. But yes, population was used, and I mean that caused the whole furore, to be honest, on the call, because people couldn't understand. I mean, Sligo has a population around 70,000 in the county, and we have 167 in our county. It's the geographic nature of it. You have to travel, if you're travelling from Fanet or Malhead, you're nearly 2 hours before you get out of the county. I mean, it was why he put the case in for Sligo, we'll never understand, and he'll certainly not be able to explain it in a way that he could understand.
Well, I mean, I think who's making the decisions and where they're from probably needs a little bit of scrutiny as well, just to make sure everything is fine in that regard, because the population argument doesn't seem to make sense. One final point, I mean, obviously Sean Murphy is battering away trying to do the best he can with his resources. But did the hospital itself make an argument for a surgical hub? Because it was Mr. Murphy who was, trumpeting the ambulatory centre. Okay, did he switch to that because the surgery hub was lost to Sligo? Or is Letterkenny focused more on the ambulatory centre than making a strong business case for the surgical hub? Is that clear?
Well, yeah, and what I would say is, because he spoke at the meeting yesterday, is that while he acknowledged and thanked us for continuing to highlight the lack of funding and investment at Letterkenny University Hospital, he still very much supported the ambulatory care centre being put there, and suggested this was what the hospital needed. And as I said, this is years away. If a surgical hub is located in Sligo, and I've nothing against that. I think there should be one in Sligo and in Letterkenny. But look, if it's there, then we have already a serious issue with filling our consultancy posts. If this goes ahead in Sligo, I don't think we will be able to carry out the services that were currently being carried out at Letterkenny, because I think it's going to be very, very hard to get consultants to come past Sligo in the future. So this is a very serious situation, Greg, and it's something that we need to rise up about. And I know that the Chuck Dallas in Leinster House will be raising this issue with the Minister and indeed with the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach, because this has to be seriously looked at. We can't afford to allow this to happen.
I find it hard to believe that the health minister. I find it hard that the health minister could stand over. Like, I mean, you would be privy yourself, I am sure, because you do your research as anyone else does. I would do as I sit in this chair. The amount of spend and projects for Sligo University Hospital, I'm delighted for them, is huge.
Yeah.
It's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Galway University Hospital is the same. There are massive programmes which you can see are a sign that the HSE is invested in those two facilities, particularly Sligo, because it kind of feels like it's similar to Letterkenny, even though we're much busier and have less spend per patient. So when you look at the programme of works, and I'll dig it out and bring it to the listeners a little later on. If you look at the programme of works for Sligo, for an example, and then you look at what's committed to Letterkenny, it would, and I'm on the fence here. I'm not taking a side in this, but you look at it on black and white. There is a future for Sligo University Hospital because it's committed to in terms of funding. And then you look at what's committed to for Letterkenny University Hospital, and this is a programme of works out for some time, and it doesn't look like Letterkenny University Hospital is being invested into for the future. And you mentioned earlier on about a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. The problem is we neither have a bird in the hand, and if the truth be told, there aren't two birds in the bush either. That's a fantasy at this point. Now, it may come to fruition years down the line, but we don't even have the two birds in the bush. That's a problem. And I really feel that we're at a point here now whereby the potential future of the hospital as it stands, even as a stretched Model 3 is very much in danger.
Yeah, Greg, and I can't disagree. That's what we've been saying for years, and that's my real fear, and that's why I'm saying we're at a crossroads, and look, the people of Donegal need to rise up to this. They need to wake up to it. They need to, get on the streets here. We need to really protest about this, because they see if a surgical hub, the other investments that you're talking about, there's new theatres getting put into Sligo, there's new bed wards getting put into Sligo, there's other cardiac stuff getting put into Sligo. We are behind the curve so far. It's unbelievable. And look, and back to the earlier question you said, about the management and Letterkenny University Hospital and what are they saying about this? I don't know, because I don't hear them saying anything. And that's like a real concern for me. Look, we have been for years, the elected members, raising the concerns of the patients in Letterkenny and Donegal. Advocacy groups have been flagging up the gaps in the services that the patients that they represent. And all along, the management have been the quiet voice in this. And I think it's time for them now to stand up and say enough's enough as well, to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Donegal, and to look for more, and not to be looking down the road 7-8 years from now and hoping against hope that we will get the funding necessary to put that ambulatory care in. I just can't understand why the business case wasn't put in for the surgical hub, and why the management in Letterkenny University Hospital were not up in arms and out in the streets themselves protesting about that. I just can't.
All right, well, as I say, we're getting to a very critical point in the future of Letterkenny University Hospital, so there will come a time when people are going to have to decide whether they want to retain and support the hospital or not. For now, Councillor Jay McMonagle, thank you very much indeed. So Sligo University Hospital is getting a new ward block construction, 21 beds in fact, 2 21-bed wards. They're getting a second CT scanner installed, which is great for them. Listen, I don't begrudge them. They're getting a central sterile services department upgrade. Car park as well is being upgraded there. So, that's good. That, in other words, fair play to them. By contrast, Letterkenny University Hospital is a very different picture in terms of, what is being planned for its future development, its future growth, and what have you. And that is potentially a major concern. Letterkenny University Hospital in its programme of works is, this is what it's getting: fire safety upgrade programme, an extension to the laboratory, which is to be welcomed, and accommodation for physio and OT department. But that's it. That's it. So you see what Sligo's getting, what it's planned for. Stuff that builds the hospital, new wards, CT scanner, stuff that makes it grow as a facility to service the people that it services. Whilst Letterkenny University Hospital's stuff is about, obviously there's some welcome and developments there, but really it's about fire safety and stuff. So we shall see. We shall see where we go from there. And the ambulatory centre, fantastic, but it isn't the two birds in the bush yet, because it is yet to even be designed, let alone planned for and funded. Whereas €60 million builds the surgical hubs. The plans are there. They're ready to go. You'd have it in months. So if we got okay for that, we'd have it. We'd have it this time next year, potentially with a good tailwind for 60 million. Fantastic. But the ambulatory centre would also be fantastic. But how long away is that? And I feel I have a responsibility sitting here not to sort of, throw that smoke screen over the situation, because I know how dire things are for the staff and consultants and primarily, of course, too, in terms of us, our families, our outcomes, and what have you. That being said, good news from Declan Meehan at that meeting as well. Apparently there's been a dramatic increase in cancer patients receiving their care within the time they should. I think it's went from 31% up to 70+%, which is very, very welcome. And a new nurse is being financed to work at the hospital too. So there are little wins here and there as well. But I wonder if we hadn't all kicked up a stink about timely access to cancer treatment, would those numbers have increased from 30 to 70%? When people go, all you do is talk about the hospital, maybe our conversations do contribute to improvements as well. All right, back with more next.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Bring your dream kitchen to life with Cherrymore. Discover functional, beautiful designs with a wide range of colours and styles to suit any project. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
The law around organ donation is changing. From June 17th, every adult in Ireland will be considered an organ donor when they die. We're doing this to help save and transform lives, and you will have the power to choose what's right for you. Talk to your family and friends to make sure they know your wishes. Find out more about the change at gov.ie/organ donation. A message from the Government of Ireland.
Sprain, minor injury, cuts, burns, just not feeling well. Skip the hospital long wait. Get seen fast at the Ophidia Minor Injuries and Illness Clinic located at Scally Place, Letterkenny. No appointment needed, just walk in. We're open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Charges will apply. Pay and reclaim with PHI. Ophidia, expert care when you need it. Visit ophidia.ie for more.
Go electric during our 252 event and discover our full range of rewired iconic Ford cars, including the all-electric Explorer, the all-new Capri, and the Puma has gone fully electric, starting from €29,900. Ford have gone electric. Ireland is going electric. So what's stopping you? Go electric. Book your test drive at Ford.ie. Offer ends 15th of June. Price includes grant and BRT relief and excludes delivery and related charges. T's and C's apply.
Charge into summer with TUI. Choose from a beach cruise or city break or Mexico flying direct from Dublin. Holiday sorted. TUI, live happy.
Need finance for a van, bus, truck, forklift or construction equipment? Talk to someone who knows Donegal. Daniel Carlin at First Citizen Finance.
From small businesses to large operators, we finance a wide range of assets with flexible hire purchase or leasing options.
Call Daniel today on 087 2729 681. Proud sponsors of the Letterkenny Motor Show. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. First Citizen Finance DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, so a lot of correspondence coming in about traffic, as you can imagine. We got this message in. I'm an escort on a special needs bus covering several schools, both primary and secondary, in the Letterkenny area. The traffic's a nightmare. Do any of the people who make these decisions ever think on the impact inordinate delays cause on these children, how much it stresses them? One evening we sat 45 minutes between the Garda station and Max Mace due to some incident hold up somewhere up by the hospital. That's just one area that these long delays impact heavily on. Why don't these geniuses that sit making these decisions consult with the hundreds of workers in factories on the back road whose workers sit at the end of their shift languishing in long traffic delays to get out of Letterkenny to start their journey home? What part of ridiculous do they not get talking about a cycle lane along by the Mount Errigal Hotel when that whole area is a car park from 3 to 6 every working day? And finally, where are the traders in all of this? Surely businesses is heavily impacted in the whole Ballyrane area on a daily basis with this fiasco of 40 minutes delays in getting a 5-minute journey. And there's more from that listener, a Letterkenny resident. And we're also joined on the programme now on this issue by Rebecca McDade, Aintu Rep. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, so by coincidence, you also were raising the issue of the impact on children with special needs and traffic, which is an angle I'm not sure plans or discussions or votes sort of takes into consideration. So it's a welcome topic to discuss from my perspective. So what are you hearing? You're an SNA yourself, so you're hearing firsthand stuff.
I'm an SNA and I work on the buses as well with children with special needs. And when we work with those children, we know the capabilities of the children. We know their tolerances. And some children cannot tolerate being any longer on the bus. They get very anxious, and we can't allow that to happen any longer. We're already thinking ahead. We have the rally weekend coming up. We have our bank holiday weekend before that. And this is going to be an absolute nightmare in our town again. So we're already heightened at the thought of the prospect of what's going to come again in these few weeks before school finishes.
How long more so are children stuck on these buses than they would need to be if traffic was moving freely? Like how How long do they be sitting about, and what impact does it have on them? We're all individuals, but just as an example.
Yeah. It can be anything from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It can be anything to those.
Yeah, say that again, because we just lost your audio. How long?
Yeah, it can be anything from 30 minutes to 45 minutes.
In addition to what it should take.
In addition to what it should take. But the difference is for an ordinary person to be waiting that length of time in traffic, it's frustrating enough. But when you have a child who is used to a routine and they have anxieties that are extra and more and above anybody else, we cannot take them out of those routines. It is absolutely essential that those children get home in the recommended time. You not only have that, you have the parents who are extremely anxious because they know that their children won't be happy on a delayed bus. They know that.
And they'll know they'll have to deal with it potentially when the child gets home as well, because they might be they might be in a heightened state.
That's right. And even to deal with those children on a bus, it's extremely hard because it has a roll-on effect on the other children that are on the bus as well. So for other children that may be less heightened by anxiety, they will be a lot more alerted to there being a problem when somebody else will kick off on the bus. So we need to be alleviated from any of those type of situations going forward.
I mean, obviously, we'll talk about where we're at the moment before we talk about what impact the changes might have. Like really where we're at the moment, the Letterkenny is built where it's built. That's the infrastructure. You can't avoid public holidays. The rally is scheduled. So these things are outside of our control. So are you saying that, look, it's bad as it is, we don't want to worsen it? Or do you believe there is something that could be done to free up the movement of traffic?
There is different proposals, Greg, for new road layouts in Letterkenny. And I think that they need to be acted on as soon as possible. I do talk about the Bunagee Bridge. I can't ignore that because that has been talked about. I will be 46 years of age, and that has been a discussion in my house since I was a child. And that still has never come to fruition. And I live out in that direction. That was my home, was in Bunagee, Drumnahoe actually. So that has been a discussion, as I said, forever and ever in my home. And that still has not been implemented yet. And I think it's actually disgraceful that Donegal, I have to speak about Donegal, that Donegal is completely left behind in everything, in every aspect. You look at the education side of things, you look at the hospital side of things, we are not getting the money that we deserve in Donegal, and we are not getting the infrastructure that we need. I talk about the rally because the rally has been in Donegalshire forever. And we have problems come around the rally weekend with traffic in our town. And all of the main traffic and flow comes straight into the Dry Arch roundabout at Bunagee. And then the traffic has to try and get into town from there. Now you have the Leck Road, of course, but you really only have the Leck Road. Because if you go to Drumkeen...
Well, the Leck Road during the rally will be reserved for emergency services, I'd imagine, so you probably don't have the Leck... If we're on about the same road, the Leck Road will be used for emergency services, so I don't think you'll will have that for the rally. You didn't last year.
And that's a massive issue, Greg, massive issue. But there is proposals for other routes in town that will alleviate a lot of the pressure in the town. And I think that when you combine everything together, you'll have a great ring road that will give plenty of options for people depending on what direction they're coming from. That will alleviate the pressure in the town.
Okay, well that's what would be nice. It's not happening anytime soon, but what is happening sometime soon is there is money coming into the county, 2 or 3 million for active travel. Up Glencar, there are concerns that's being reduced to 2 lanes and will have issues for local residents there and those travelling to and from the hospital and other places of work. And of course, too, the proposal which has already been approved for the road outside the Mount Errigal Hotel. This is nothing to do with the business, by the way. It's just a geographical landmark outside, if you prefer, outside Screwfix, to be reduced to 2 lanes. Do you believe that those plans should go ahead now, or given the concerns that you have for the children already, that could exacerbate delays and the transport of children?
Greg, I am telling you from my heart, this is going to be detrimental to everybody, and not just to children who are travelling on buses. The pressure on our bus drivers getting to and from their work is immense. With a full busload of children, you have those as one complete group altogether. Because these bus drivers not only have to go one bus journey, but go back to school to get the second the bus group. So the pressure on those people is going to be immense. The flow of traffic, it's never going to work, Greg. If you cut down the flow of traffic from 4 cars to 2, where is that going to lead? Because all of that traffic is still being brought into the Polestar roundabout. So in and out of there is going to be an absolute disaster. So I will put it on record that I absolutely 100% oppose that right here and right now, because they do not have the other places, the other infrastructure in place that will alleviate the pressure coming into that roundabout. They cannot carry on with that. And I wholeheartedly will put my hand up and say, I do not agree with it right now. That may be a vision for the future, but that is never going to alleviate the problem that we have right now. We need our proper roads. Those ring roads need to be looked at again. They need to do it very fast. It needs to be done right now. The planners have got to stop stalling on the decision making in this regard, and not be worrying about any more of what's happening in the town and fixing little bits in the town, because that's never going to alleviate the problem. We need the bigger issues dealt with, which is our proper ring road, and we need that Bonnegee Bridge. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Bonnegee Bridge is being progressed as part of the 10T plans, but it's not going to come anytime soon. So
it's a massive issue, Greg, because it's been talked about for nearly 50 years.
I know
or more.
that, but and it's welcome that me and you were talking about it, but it's really just not going to happen sooner than it's going to happen.
But I have to ask why.
Because it's tied in because it's tied in with the road out to the border. It's tied in with the Twin Towns bypass and all of those are progressing. They have to be going to design, compulsory purchase order, public consultation. Greg. Well, the only solution would be to decouple that relief bridge or road, decouple that and progress that. But as you say, that's been talked in your household since you were a child, and it's not going to happen. That's just simply not going to happen. So we have to kind of deal with the stuff that we can influence. So what might happen, or what is probably going to happen, are the cycle lanes and the narrowing of roads. That's within our control. But the councillors have decided to go. Well, the councillors have decided to go ahead with the
traffic, Greg. That's the biggest issue we've got. It's the traffic and the cars and your buses. If there's certain routes in our town where 2 coaches cannot pass together, and if you take away parking spaces, or say you widen a footpath, you are narrowing the space for 2 vehicles to pass.
It's so narrow, they can't
but you
even
have
put
to think
bus
about
lane,
the
they can't
biggest
even put
vehicles
bus
that we've
space in.
got that need to pass, which are coaches. And there are many, many bus drivers driving big coaches. It's not just an ordinary minibus. So you've got to take into consideration the bigger vehicles that's going to be used, that are going to be side by side, and is there enough room for those 2 vehicles to pass? And if there isn't enough room for those 2 vehicles to pass, as it stands, you cannot put in a cycle lane. Simple as that.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, I remember this similar conversation when they were narrowing the road at Capri. It's a traffic calming measure. These big vehicles can pass each other. It's very, very tight, but it's by accident, not design. It's to slow people down. But a concern I would have, and I will dig out the plans again, is if Letterkenny gets a town bus service, where are the buses going to pull in for people to board them? So it can take someone on a wheelchair or who on crutches quite some time to get onto a bus, and we need to accommodate them. Is that bus sitting in the middle of the road with 50 cars behind it, all getting frustrated and sitting on their horns?
You see, this is the problem.
It's not for
Greg.
me. I'm not an elected rep, so it's not.
We
for
need
me
to talk to the people.
I'm
We
just
need to
asking
talk to the
questions.
wheelchair users. That's one thing, and that perspective. And you're 100% right. And I have worked with people who are wheelchair users, because I've been working as a PA as well. So I know the certain issues that there is around different disabilities and abilities, okay? To say it both ways, because we all have different abilities. And Letterkenny is not fully wheelchair friendly yet.
Oh no, by no stretch. Listen, I mean, it's not
one
even.
of the entries
It's not
would be down
even
at
friendly.
Dunstores would be something that needs to be looked at there.
Of course, but also there's people who are visually impaired, and the hedgerows are hanging out over the footpaths, and they can't be cut till the end, till later in the summer. I must go, Rebecca. All your points were very well made, and I do appreciate your time. That is an 92 rep there in Rebecca McDade.
With 29 years of experience, Cherrymore is trusted across Ireland for exceptional quality and service. Let their expert team guide you from concept to completion. Cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Fresh deals at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh. 6-pack Royal Gala apples, avocados and chestnut mushrooms only 79 cent. Asparagus and pineapples €1.49. Plus 3 for €10 on signature taste berries. Real value every time, only at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh.
The Irish Independent says the all-new Dacia Bigster offers style, comfort and agility. It's the big family car with big space, big tech, a big boot and big hybrid power with a not-so-big price tag. From an incredible €29,990 with low-cost finance options available. Visit your local Dacia dealer from the 2nd to the 9th of June for our big dealer sales event to find out more. Price excludes delivery and related charges. T's and C's apply, subject to lending criteria. Offers are limited. See dacia.ie.
Coonies have gone sofa mad with incredible savings on the Brooklyn sofa 3 and 2 with console all reclining. Was 2097, now only 1299, saving €798. The Sydney sofa 3 and 2 and 311 was 1897, now only 1499, saving €398. All sofas in stock ready for immediate delivery, but hurry, only while stocks last. Coonies Home Interiors, style and perfection at incredible value.
Discover a new way to cook outdoors with the Ninja Woodfire Electric Barbecue Grill, now at Ben Sweeney Euronics. It's a grill, smoker and air fryer all in one, with 7 cooking functions, no charcoal, gas or flames needed. Woodfire technology delivers real smoky flavour anywhere, in the garden, patio or in the campsite. Weather resistant and ready year round. Get the Ninja Woodfire Electric Barbecue Grill at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Letterkenny and Dunlow.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, a good deal of cloud, but some brighter sunny breaks too, along with scattered showers. Cloud will thicken this afternoon with outbreaks of rain spreading from the southwest this evening and early tonight. Temperatures 14 to 17 degrees. I believe today is the last day for submissions. The NSAI, it launched, as you would know, a public consultation into IS 465. That's the assessment, testing and categorisation of damaged buildings incorporating concrete blocks containing certain deleterious materials. Well, the public consultation on that closes on the 28th of May, which is today. So I don't know at what stage it closes, but you can have your say online. We might share that link. I believe it is still open. But if you've got any interest in that at all, or you've got any concerns about what the future guidelines may hold, today is the last day to make a submission to the NSAI. You can go to their website and go to About and News, and you should find it there. As I say, these things come around perhaps more quickly. I have a child who attends Little Angels. He finishes at 2:45. Some days he doesn't get home until, wait for this, 4:45 because of traffic. The Monday is a public holiday and the school are taking Tuesday and Wednesday off as well. I suggested that they should swap the Wednesday and take the Friday off of the rally off. Apparently this can't be done. Businesses prosper during the rally and it's great for the town and local economy, but really isn't fair for all our children with additional needs. You will be sitting in traffic all day. Can you imagine leaving school at 2:45, not home to 4:45? That's an awful long sit. I think a shuttle bus service at the Bonagee roundabout would help with the traffic. There's something similar in Omagh and it works very well. Greg, I'm currently sitting in traffic at Arena 7 and it's only 10 in the morning. These plans for roads narrowing at the Mount Errigal, they say, are absolutely crazy, and on it goes. Thanks so much for all of your comments coming in so far this morning. Loads to come in the next 2 hours of the 9 till noon show. After we take a break now, though, for the news and the obituary notices with Michaela Clark.
Need some inspiration for your home renovation? Explore Cherrymore's kitchen and bedroom collections and create a space as unique as you. Book your design appointment today at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Meet Dave. He's here to tell you why you should switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance.
Hi, I'm Dave from Dublin. I made the switch to Outsurance and saved €178. I'm also on the way to getting 10% cash back with their Out bonus.
Like the sound of that? For a competitive car insurance quote like Dave's, call 1800 600 400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC trading as Outsurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Easy Living Furniture's sizzling summer sale ends this Sunday. Don't miss out as absolutely everything's reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress and accessories. Summer sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture, luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
Get your home and garden summer ready with Watson Hire in Letterkenny. From lawnmowers to trimmers and compost to lawnmowers, they have everything you need to tidy, clean and green your space. If you're painting, inside or out, choose the best value paint in Donegal from top names like Fleetwood and Johnson's. Watson Hire, open 6 days a week at Lisnen and Letterkenny with great deals to have your home and garden looking their best. See watsonhire.ie.
Hybrid, plug-in hybrid, electric. Don't get confused. Get excited with Toyota, Ireland's best-selling car brand. Join us for the Power of Choice event happening now at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. With exclusive offers, including power-up boosters of up to €3,000 and flexible payment options available on our fantastic range. But it ends May 31st, so visit Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles today. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply. Best-selling claim based on latest figures.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. School children in Letterkenny with special needs are said to be facing intolerable delays travelling to and from school due to the town's traffic congestion. Into Representative Rebecca McDade, who works as an SNA on a school bus, says parents are extremely worried about the knock-on effect the delays are having on their children who are being forced to sit on a bus longer than necessary. She says there is much talk about many road projects planned for the town, yet chronic traffic issues persist. Ms McDade says the issues need to be resolved once and for all.
There's been so much talk about doing different things. I still believe that the Bunagee Bridge is definitely something that needs to be done. And there are other proposals on there as well for other roads that can be widened and new roads made. We cannot wait any longer. The children on the buses, some of them are non-verbal and they get extremely frustrated when they're sitting in traffic, and we cannot have that.
Labour is calling for UN peacekeepers to enter Gaza. The party will discuss the motion in the Dáil within the next few minutes, and it said it will join a peaceful protest outside Leinster House later today. Deputy Duncan Smith says an emergency resolution like this is necessary to help innocent civilians. There's calls for a major push to secure funding for improvements on the N15 from Maclay's Corner in Stranorlar to Killygordon, Castlefin and Lifford. Speaking at a meeting of the Lifford-Stranorlar Municipal District this week, Councillor Patrick McGowan said the road had previously been included in a plan along with the long-awaited Twin Towns bypass. However, he says the bypass is now part of the 10T project and it appears the N15 is off the table as it is not mentioned in the National Development Plan. Councillor McGowan wants the Council's Chief Executive and Director of Road Services to brief the MD and is ultimately seeking a meeting with the Transport Minister. He says what they're asking for is reasonable.
We're not looking for a new offline road. We're just looking for a realignment. We just want to get the road. Now that we've done Ballyshannon, the Bundoran, Donegal Town bypass, Donegal Town right into Ballybofey, we want to start now. It's in order. This road's absolutely desperate. Very narrow, very twisty, lot of accidents.
A sum of money has been stolen from a service station in Ballybofey. It's understood a number of people entered the commercial premises on the Donegal Road at around 8 o'clock last night before making off with the cash. Gardaí say investigations are ongoing. There's calls for a three-part strategy to be implemented to support the efforts of Tidy Towns groups in Donegal. Councillor Joy Beard has proposed a rollout of a targeted awareness campaign, additional signage and a pilot project targeting the disposal of pizza boxes. Donegal County Council's Director of Water and Environment, Michael McGarvey, confirmed that the motion would be explored. Councillor Beard believes if provided, the measures would be hugely beneficial in keeping towns and villages clean.
We're just looking to improve efficiency for waste collection as well. So as I've seen it, these are simple, low-cost steps that can make a real difference to the cleanliness, of our public spaces. Our Tidy Towns team do amazing work, and the work that those volunteers do is amazing, and they deserve full support in anything we can do to help.
Meanwhile, Buncrana Tidy Towns Initiative has written to Donegal County Council and councillors to highlight what they say is a lack of basic services in the town. The letter signed by the group and a number of local businesses calls for the road sweeper service in the town to be reinstated on a 5-day-a-week basis. Emily Keegan has more.
In the letter delivered to Donegal County Council and councillors, which is calling for the road sweeper service to be fully reinstated, Buncrana Tidy Towns Initiative say they were left seriously aggrieved and let down after noting that despite being cleaned, not one piece of litter was removed from the footpaths along the town's main street on Monday of last week. The group says they believe it's not solely their job to keep Buncrana clean. They say the least the town deserves is that the road sweeper be rostered to its previous schedule of 5 days per week. Given that Buncrana is the second largest town in Donegal with many visitors, the group says clean streets are essential for the community's health, livelihoods, safety and appearance.
Weather now today will bring a good deal of cloud, but some bright or sunny spells also with scattered showers. Highest temperatures of 14 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website at highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice for this Wednesday morning, May the 27th. The death has taken place of Big Pat Logue, 30, Sperrinview, Sion Mills, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:25 for Requiem Mass in St Teresa's Church at Sion Mills at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. No mass cards or flowers please. Donations in lieu of flowers please to Famine Box, St Teresa's Church, Kev Quigley Funeral Directors. Family time please from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
In life, it's always good to be flexible, to be open to new ideas, and put yourself in the driving seat to get what you need. That's why at Allianz, our insurance policies revolve around you, so you only pay for the cover you need, and not for the things you don't. Visit allianz.ie to save 15% on your car insurance and 10% on your home insurance today. Allianz plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, minimum premiums and terms and conditions apply.
Good morning. You're very welcome into the second hour of the 9 till noon show. If you've just tuned in, we had a very busy hour. We were discussing the situation at Letterkenny University Hospital and then moved on to traffic in and around that town too. Both issues on the face of it, you might say, well, they're Letterkenny issues, but clearly not. The hospital is all of our hospitals right across the county. And for many of us, whether we want to go into Letterkenny and shop, which is great, or actually want to go somewhere else in the county, often the changes to traffic layout or frequency of traffic in the town can affect all of us. A caller says, forget the shuttle bus nonsense from Bonagee. The bridge needs to be fast-tracked regardless of the 10T road. That will take years to complete. It is a priority. Bike lanes, bridges and bottlenecks sum up Letterkenny's traffic problems. How much has been spent on rarely used cycle lanes when the money could have gone towards building the Bonagee Bridge? Talking like she's an elected member inside when she's outside, she needs to wake up to what really has gone on for years within. Question, why is Letterkenny a mess? You don't have to look very far. Some haven't gone away, by the way. Active travel is needed. Too long with short-term gains with long-term pains. Thank you for your views there. They are appreciated. Greg, I've lost Ulster TV and the BBC on Friday. I'm based in Convoy. Has this happened to anyone else? Well, tell us what platform you're watching on. Do you have an aerial that points to the north? Is it Freeview? Were you accessing a Freeview box, or is it Sky? Let us know what's platform, and we'll see if we can find out more information for you. Why are some schools taking Thursday and Friday this week off as well as next Tuesday? Why can they not take the Friday of the rally off, which would make more sense? I don't know. Maybe they are. Would you know yet if they're not? There is discretionary days I think schools can take. Some go back earlier or break up late. So I presume the school you're talking of, they've just decided that that's the days they're taking those days. Good morning, Greg. Is anyone surprised RTE hired actors? I mean, why use staff when you can waste even more money hiring actors? They are an absolute embarrassment. It is kind of couldn't make it up territory. It's not rocket science. Ireland will miss its CO2 targets because gas is a fossil fuel and more backup is needed to keep the grid stable. The Irish state has chosen gas. Are Gardaí going to give either a 6-month or annual update on how much crime has risen since the migrants came into the country? They're updated by the independently, by the way, by the CSO, and they're there for all to see. Doesn't break down the demographic, but I mean, look at your newspapers, look on your websites, you'll see that the majority of those coming out of courts are not migrants, and I don't mean that in any way bad. I'm not saying there's not antisocial behaviour issues or there isn't issues or issues may arrive, but, you know, anecdotally you can see. I think sometimes people flick through a paper and they go past, 9 Irish people and come across a migrant that's committed a crime. It's like, look at this is an absolute disgrace, I tend to sort of try and think more independently and freely. That's being said, who's to say where the country might go into the future? But it's not just annually or 6 monthly. The crime figures are released every 3 months. Much as I'm empathetic to the innocent people of Gaza in their suffering, I don't agree with whoever is defacing Letterkenny with unsightly graffiti at present about it. I'm not familiar with this at all. What's happening? Are people putting sort of pro-Palestine graffiti up? I don't really think that serves any function. I think there's other ways that you can highlight the issue. I think, even if the message is a valid one, and in that case, I think most people might, to sort of make graffiti looks rough, and to make an area look rough, I don't know. There's other ways of doing it, I think. The numbers debate in favour of Sligo Hospital is baffling. Does anyone know if the powers that be considered South Donegal as being in the Sligo catchment and East Donegal to be in Altnagelvin? Well, East Donegal certainly not Altnagelvin, but I suspect South Donegal would have been included. And I just wonder, with day cases, people going down to the ENT or for dermatological care or other reasons we have to go to Sligo. I just wonder were those numbers included as well, because on the face of it, we've twice the population. Why don't all the Donegal reps come together and fight for Letterkenny University Hospital? I was on dialysis for a while and had to go to Derry during COVID 3 days a week. We were stopped every trip because we were beyond the 5k radius. Why don't the Donegal reps come together and fight for Letterkenny University Hospital? I would say they're all on the same page. I don't know if there's a sort of behind-the-scenes approach. I think, did Councillor Jerry McMonigal suggest that was the case? They were all in attendance at that meeting, either in the room or remotely. So they have a very good understanding of what the plans are. Did any press releases come out saying this is an absolute disgrace, what I've learned, actions needed now? I didn't see any. Did they agree to pursue it with the health minister behind the scenes? I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that I can't sort of be, complicit in saying, yeah, ambulatory centre if, it's years and years and years down the line where a surgical hub could be within a year. So, I have to say, right, is that a smokescreen? Is it not? Invite guests on and they let us know. Pat the Cope said it's only ticking exercise when the health minister was coming to Donegal. He refused to represent us at that meeting. We need Michael Lowry to come to Donegal. He has them on the ropes. I'll never ever understand why elected reps, and I will say Kieran Brogan and Councillor Jerry McMonigal were there. They're part of the Regional Health Forum. But there was an opportunity. I would have thought, I'm not making any friends here, am I? but there was an opportunity to challenge the health minister in Letterkenny in the shadow of the hospital, and sort of, while the media was there, in a very respectful way, and say, are you sure people haven't been moved out of the hospital because you're coming and then they're going to be moved back in the afternoon? Where's the head of the HSE in this area? Why isn't he here? What's the significance of that? What's the story with the surgical hub? If they send it back to Sligo, even though you say the decision has been made, what are you going to do about that? Stand with the cancer campaigners that were there, lonely, 5 women battering away themselves, all directly affected by cancer, but still standing out, championing the cause on their own, really, except for the media standing with them. Remind the councillors that there's no shortage of money or any hesitation for providing abortion services in Letterkenny University Hospital, yet serious lack of funding for cancer patients and other life-saving treatments and care. And I will continue to sort of, obviously, if people have an opinion, that is fine. But to continuously compare absolutely everything to abortion, which the people of the country voted on, whether we like it or not, is, it's. I'm not sure it's helping the cause of every other issue, because it keeps being brought back to the issue that you find important. But then again, 10,000 abortions in a year, that's not perhaps what a lot of people voted for. On Monday, it took an hour to get from the Silver Tassie into Letterkenny. I nearly missed my driving test, and that was with taking precautions to account for traffic. We have a cycle lane in Lifford that's never used. We had a half marathon recently and access was blocked. People had to go to Strabane via Derry. We chatted to a lady too who travels along the Quigley's Point Road, was talking about the cyclists out on the road and a €5 million cycle and walking lane there. It's not just Letterkenny, it's Lifford, it's North Donegal. Let the councillors who want to put in more cycle lanes that are not being used and will cause more congestion go to their work and do their shopping on bikes and show the rest of us how it works. This will cripple Letterkenny, as more people who have an alternative will do their business elsewhere rather than sit in the traffic. I have hundreds on this. This will only make the traffic congestion worse. The Polestar traffic lights are not helping. A filter traffic light on the 4 lanes from Ramelton might keep a flow going. The bridge over the Swilly is where the money should go, but sure, why would DCC or all local councillors listening to the businesses and the local people of our town? We have to be clear too, though, what people have control over. So DCC have responsibility over certain roads. Donegal County councillors have a certain amount of influence. The TII are responsible for the transport for the 10T project. That's a national project. A councillor, they could chain themselves to the bridge. It wouldn't make no difference, to be honest with you. And we do have road design in Donegal as well, which might have an impact on designs. But fundamentally, it's a national Transport Infrastructure Ireland project. All right, back with more shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 28th of May. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €2,600. The reference number is S8. It's game number 22. The numbers are 33, 34, 57, 62, 74, 29, 49, 55, 8, and finally 26. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney & Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing or voluntary transfer, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhinney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
Put your best foot forward for National Heritage Week. Organise an event that helps your community explore our foundations. From ancient stone to local song or something unique we can all enjoy. Register your event at heritageweek.ie today. National Heritage Week is a programme of the Heritage Council supported by the Local Authority Heritage Networks and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Whether it's muddy boots or outdoor gear, Cherrymore's premium kitchen and storage solutions bring style and function to your boot room or utility. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
All right, you're very welcome back to the programme. We are going to return to the matter of health. And yesterday, the issue of the surgical hub for Letterkenny was raised. I think they've doubled down the HSE in that it's going to Sligo. And we are to settle for the prospect potentially of an ambulatory centre. Betty Holmes is a cancer campaigner and has been talking about matters at Letterkenny University Hospital for a long time. What is your reaction to the commentary yesterday and the local manager, Sean Murphy, hailing the ambulatory centre as bigger and better than a surgical hub and tailor-made for Donegal, bells and whistles and all that, Betty?
Yeah, Greg. Yes, Mr. Murphy had told us at our recent meeting about the ambulatory care centre, and yes, it sounds excellent. But my question is the timeline, because according to the documents that I received from the HSE Regional Executive Officer, Tony Canavan, Letterkenny Hospital are only starting to develop a business case for this development, which would include which is excellent. Really, really important stuff would be in that centre, Greg, and that shouldn't get lost. But the reality is this lip service? Is this something that's going to be sort of 7-10 years down the line? I mean, if it's only at the planning stage, there's a major process to go through before it's actually okayed.
Well,
there's funded.
just so the listeners know, there are no plans drawn up yet.
No plans drawn up.
I believe there might be a sketch knocking about, but there's no plans drawn up yet. There are many
a sketch. Sorry, Greg, there is a sketch because when we were at the meeting, Mr. Murphy actually showed us the sketch.
Okay.
But you know me, I need to see where it's written down that this has actually happened. It's just a sketch. There is no plans. Letterkenny Hospital are just in the process of starting to develop a business case for this development.
Conversely, a surgical hub, the plans are there. We know what's required. It costs 60 million. With the will, a good tailwind, as they say, work could start on that in months. That's what we're gonna do is we're gonna see progress potentially in Sligo Surgical Hub, whilst we might be in the first of 3 stages before you can even get funding approval for the ambulatory centre. That's the reality, and that's just further funding and investment into services at Sligo University Hospital.
Absolutely. But Greg, the whole talk about the surgical hub was first mentioned. I looked back in November last year. A group of hospital consultants at Letterkenny Hospital actually put together their 5 actions that needed. And one of those was a surgical hub for Donegal. Establish a surgical hub, reducing the need for patients to travel outside Donegal for essential care. Then, before we had our meeting with the Minister, I happened to see the announcement that was made in Sligo by the Regional Executive Officer, announcing the surgical hub, talking about the plans. And what he actually said at that time was, because I have been in constant email with him, that he based that it was deemed the best access for patients in the Northwest. So does that mean again that the patients from Donegal, from Malin and everywhere else are going to have to head to Sligo? Why is Letterkenny always the poor relation.
Stay there a
I
second.
did the map.
I just want people to know what, and I will come back to that map in a second. But what
Yes,
is an
sorry,
ambulatory? What is an ambulatory centre? Just so people know. In an ideal world, it would have 2 day surgery theatres, 2 minor operation procedure rooms, like a surgical hub. But it would also have urology and haematology and oncology day services. So that obviously, on the face of it, sounds fab. But the issue is how far are we away from that materialising? Stay there. I'll come back to you, Betty. Emma Gova, known online as the wee Donegal Mammy, and also a health campaigner. Your reaction to, I suppose it's a chain of events, a chain of communication over the last couple of weeks, and where we're at now, Emma, with what we learnt yesterday.
Well, I think it's a bit of a smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you, Greg. I'm not going to pull any punches saying that. That the Minister for Health stood in Letterkenny a couple of weeks ago with Betty there and with Rosina Toner and some of the local elected representatives, and she said no decision had been made on whether the surgical hub was going to Sligo. So either she didn't know that the decision had been made and they're not keeping her in the loop, or she was just pandering to the crowd, one of the two. Now, I'm not trying to be cynical, but it doesn't look good either way, to be quite frank with you. But the reality is that the ambulatory care centre sounds fantastic. It really does. But as Betty has said, and as you have said this morning, there isn't even plans drawn up for this yet. This will have to go through a process. And then the funding will have to be sought and drawn down, because if you've no plans and you've no business plan ready, then you've no funding.
Another element to that as well is
this
that
could take years.
Also, another element is that it's very clear what the HC management see, I think at this point, see as the balancing of the health service across the country. I mean, if they can't fund 60 million for a hub in Letterkenny now, who's to say that once these plans are drawn up, that they will actually go, all right, we'll fund that? At what stage, where will Letterkenny University Hospital be at that stage? Will they say there isn't the critical mass? Will they say we can't attract the consultants to the area? Even if plans are progressed, there is actually no commitment to funding this project.
Absolutely. And here is the concern. Sorry to cut across you there, Greg, but Sligo has a population. They've said they've built this on, they've made this decision based on population. Sligo has a population of 70,198. Donegal has a population of 167,400 in the last census. So are they including, I'm assuming that they're including patients from Roscommon and Mayo, and are they including some of the patients that are coming from Donegal to be treated in Sligo, because we don't have a sitting ENT consultant, we don't have a sitting neurologist, we don't have a sitting dermatologist, we don't have a sitting neurologist, we don't have a sitting endocrinologist, we have visiting consultants, but we don't have any of those. So are they including our patients that have to go there because we aren't being provided with the care in Donegal to start with? And the worry about that is once the surgical hub then comes into place in Sligo, because it's not going to take years, as we know, as you said, a few months, this is going to be up and running. The thing is, once our patients start getting filtered off then to Sligo for surgical procedures, is that going to bring the tier of our hospital? And then before you know it, they're going to start filtering away other services. And then before you know it, they could turn around and say, well, sure, all the patients are going to Sligo for their surgeries and things like that, the surgical. So why would we put the ambulatory care centre in there?
I just want to remind listeners who weren't listening into the first hour, some of the developments that are proposed for Sligo University Hospital, and I don't begrudge them in any way, shape or form. But a new ward block, which is... the construction of a new ward block comprising 2 21-bed wards, all featuring single en-suite rooms. This development includes additional shell and core space intended for future expansion of cardiology CT services. The construction contract exceeds 30 million and it will be completed in 27. A second CT scanner operational since May 2025, May 5th. Central Sterile Services Department, an upgrade to it. Enabling works on the car park, including the development of new car park. Some of that's already been completed. But that's what's been going into Letterkenny. Into Sligo. In Letterkenny, fire safety upgrade programme of works consisting of fire alarm upgrades and new emergency lighting system. Fantastic. But I don't think that's going to speed up any flow through. An extension to the laboratory, microbiology, virology and immunology, this to provide capacity for additional COVID-19 testing, believe it or not. And the construction of accommodation for a physio and OT department to reinstate accommodation dispersed due to on-site flooding. So I'll go back to you, Betty, in relation to that. If you're looking at the programme of works there for Sligo University Hospital, you're looking at the approval of a hub there as well. And as Emma's been pointing out there, you know, what impact might that have on Letterkenny University Hospital? And then you see what we have is, you know, a notion at this point for an ambulatory centre. I mean, looking at the raw facts, there is clearly an interest to invest in Sligo University Hospital. How do we get a consultant or higher grade staff to come to Letterkenny University Hospital when all of it is there in the northwest, 2 hours from Dublin? How do what does that mean? What's that intent for Letterkenny?
Greg, it's 17 years since I said key services were going to be gradually removed from Letterkenny Hospital, and Letterkenny Hospital would become in effect the new community hospital. In fact, the words I used at that time, the new St. Joseph's Community Hospital. I have seen nothing over the years that changes my mind, and when we look at what's happening, we're very close to it. And all I see is major investment into Sligo, and that is going to be the centre for Donegal patients. And in reality, we've been the poor relation, and even regarding the surgical hub, as I said, the consultants had actually talked about it last November when the regional executive officer announced it and actually said it was his decision, and said that the grounds were being cleared. And when we met with the minister, and the minister told me no, it wasn't happening, and I showed her the map where it was, and I actually showed her the statement where the regional executive officer had made the announcement. Now, there is a lot going on, and it's about stripping services from Letterkenny Hospital. And I mean this not to frighten people. The reality is it's been done under our noses. And the amount of documents that I've been sent are a load of nonsense, because the 4 key projects are for Letterkenny: bed expansion, emergency and urgent care, critical care capacity, ambulatory care block. That's what they have down on a pile of papers that when you read through it, Greg, it's a lot of hot air. It's like one of the fairy tales that you'd be reading to your wains at bedtime.
But the difference between your list and my list is mine are projects that are approved, are ongoing, and I know you're privy to the same info potentially because it's there on the public record.
Yes.
But what then next politically? Because there's only so much we can do. We know all the TDs and senators are privy to this information. We know that the councillors are privy to this information. The councillors are hamstrung. They don't have access to the minister. They can raise concerns at regional health forum meetings. They can pass motions at the council. But we have 5 TDs, 2 senators in this county who are privy to this information. I have not seen, since that meeting that took place where all of this was outlined in terms of the surgical hub and the ambulatory service, I haven't seen any reference to this in the Dáil or press releases. So what's going on? What needs to happen from your perspective next? Because you're the campaigner. I'm just sitting in here as a presenter. This is continuing to happen. Is there not a window? Sorry, Betty. Is there not a window between... No, it's my fault. I'm just bloody passionate about this. Is there not a window between the HSC locally signing off on Sligo as a hub and not Donegal, and the government signing off? Like, are the 5 TDs and 2 senators making the minister aware that this is potentially happening under her nose? Can she stand up and justify the population argument for locating this hub in Sligo and the rest of the investment in Sligo and the lack of investment in Letterkenny? Betty, I won't interrupt you.
No, Greg, I have to say I can't understand, because even if we talk about the surgical hub, when I brought it up, we've had nothing since the time the minister was here, and I showed that the hub and everything and was public about that. But when I done my research then and discovered that the consultants had actually, in November last year, on their 5 actions, the surgical hub, Why did we hear nothing about a surgical hub until I produced a map with it marked in and Sligo supported by the statement made by the Regional Executive Officer? How come this is all happening now? This has been going on for years. And yes, the regional forum, and yes, we hear all these things. But why? We need all our politicians in Donegal for once to forget about the politics, stand together and stand with the people. Personally, if we don't take action, our hospital is going to be literally a community hospital. The ambulatory care centre is absolutely excellent. I need somebody to tell me the plans are done, the funding has been approved, all the rest of it.
Yeah, but that's years
and when
away, Betty. I mean,
as you refer to the funding,
that's years
we've
away.
been continually underfunded, Greg, all over the years. We've had the lowest budget.
Okay, all right. You say why now? Why now? Because I believe we've never been as close to. In fact, it's not my words. Just in case anyone thinks it's my words, look at the letter from the consultants. Look at the letter from the GPs. They said we were months away from a collapse of services. So it's not me. I'm not. This is consultants who work there. We've never been as close as we have been to seeing a failure. I also know there are great concerns that people's outcomes are being affected by all of this, as we know. Emma Govey, do you want to come in there? Emma Gova, do you want to come in?
Yeah, well, I just want to say that I agree with Betty myself. Actually, we had a conversation about this very recently, and you know, the reality is that we need our politicians to be going down to Dublin and bringing Donegal to them, not Dublin to Donegal. We need them to be saying that, you know, here, look at no. And we you know, we have some very decent people that we've worked with in the past, but we need them to be saying, now listen, we are not going to stand by and let this happen. And what I would do now is, you know, I would encourage, and I've said this before, and I believe I've said it on, maybe on your show before, maybe it was somebody else's show, I'm not entirely sure, but I've said what we need now is almost, it's something that Father Bradley said a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about community work. He was talking about the coalition of the willing, that he had heard this term, the coalition of the willing. And that's what we need when it comes to healthcare advocacy. We need the groups who are advocating for neurology services and endocrinology services and cancer services and advocating about the wait times in the ED and all the services that we are lacking, and that we need them to come together now as one big group and say, no.
Yeah, I know where you're saying from, but I'm not disputing what you're saying, but that's another thing that needs to be organised, right? And sometimes things like that can be like herding cats. The bottom line, and I mean that with no disrespect, the bottom line is we've got 5 national politicians who know the story already.
Oh, of course.
Right, so you know the people can only be asked to do so much.
Like
we're down at the hospital. Down at the hospital,
do
Betty.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, but Betty was down there.
I agree with you. And
yes.
Rosina was there.
Anything.
Oh, just 1 second.
In the news from them saying
there is nothing there. Betty was there. Rosina was there. Who else was there? Betty. There was 5 women, right? 5 women standing at the gates there, and that was the entirety.
I wasn't there because my daughter was in medical too.
Understood. No, I'm not. My point is, Emma, it's not having to go at anyone. That was it. There was 5 women.
No.
5 women, and that was the voice of the health service in this county. Those 5 women who've either lost people because of cancer services, or who Mary was there as well. I believe Mary Orr. It's Mary Orr, isn't it, Betty?
Yeah,
it is.
Mary.
Yeah. Mary Orr was there, and the lady from the other cancer care group.
Noel.
Noel Duddy.
Noel
Duddy.
wasn't there.
Not Noel. Anyway,
no, Noel wasn't there.
Okay.
Noel was at the meetings.
But my point being is that the health minister came up and visited a unusually quiet hospital. Let me put it like that. She came up with the. All right, Betty. Yeah. She came up right and stood in the shadows of a 200-bed community hospital, which is fantastic. She came up being told that multiple millions of extra spending have been gone into the hospital, and that's what she left with. And she left with no one at the gates except 5 powerful women, 5 pillars. And Emma would have been there, I'm sure, if it wasn't for her own situations. Yeah. And that's what she left with. And the politicians, it seems, decided it wasn't worth turning up. So if I'm the health minister, I'm going away, Betty, and I'm going, well, things are grand. Everything's all right.
Yeah. Because, Greg, that day when we were in at the meeting, I mean, I have to say, first of all, the initial reaction was, to hell with this, because we were being told very clearly we had 15 minutes. And, in reality, for a minister to come to Donegal and say that she would give us 15 minutes was really, it was quite disrespectful to the rest of us. Because when I looked at the coverage of the time that she spent in Sligo, I thought, sweet mother of God, maybe we should have been down in Sligo having our meetings about Donegal. There's a major imbalance. And yes, I know, and yes, Noel was at the gate that day when the minister came. But in reality, it's a time, but again, it's about who pulls all this together. Do we need to sit in a room and get all our politicians to come in and discuss? Because all over the years, no disrespect to them, but anytime we've organised meetings and asked them all to come, they don't generally sit together. But it's time that we all united and stood together. It's time, because I go back to when we looked for the permanent breast surgeon, we got 15,000 people, Greg, in one of the worst May days. There's a lot of work in pulling all that together. But it's a time that we all stood up together. We need to have a conversation now, and we need to engage the politicians because they have access to tables and conversations that we don't. And it's not that I don't send emails and keep pressure on, but I mean, when you ask for a meeting, an example with the HSE Regional Executive Officer, because clearly his role is to oversee the plan and management and coordination of these services, ensuring they meet both local needs and national standards. Yeah. And yet we can't get a meeting. On the fourth attempt, he sends me one saying that the hospital manager is engaging with us and the new integrated healthcare area manager. They're not engaging with us.
The one thing I would like to know too is, where was Tony Canavan for that meeting with the health minister come up? And did he turn up in Sligo? Because she travelled down to Sligo afterwards. I'd be very interested to find out.
Yes, he was in Sligo because I saw the pictures.
Right, okay. So why wasn't he in Donegal? This is one of his hospitals. This was
I'm
a major
asking that
visit.
question too.
Okay, well, me and you seem to be asking a lot of
Tony Canavan is the person that I've emailed 4 times in a short period of time, asking him for an urgent meeting, please. And on Friday evening, I think I'm doing it from memory, around 4 o'clock or something, I got an email back, and for the first time ever, which is just a small comment, he always called me Betty, but suddenly I'm dear Mrs. Holmes. Thank you for your email. I have discussed your concerns with the IHA manager for Donegal, Dermot Monaghan. I am aware that he and the hospital manager, Sean Murphy, are engaging directly with you on this matter. Dermot will be in touch directly with a further update. Please find briefing documents attached for your attention. Regards, Tony Canavan.
Okay. Right. Thanks. Yes, Betty, listen, I have to move on. Thanks so much for your time.
Listen, thank you for the time, Greg. People of Donegal and politicians of Donegal, please, it is time to stand up to save what's left of Letterkenny University Hospital. It's an excellent hospital. The staff are excellent. We need a hospital in Donegal, not Sligo. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks,
Thank
Betty.
you, everybody.
And Emma Gova, just in case it's not abundantly clear, this conversation for me, it's often and if not always driven obviously by patients. That's the critical thing, but it's staff down there being supported in the work they're doing. Us talking about it on the radio, not all staff like it. Some are glad that it's platformed. Others think we're actually compounding the issue. But listen, I take my guidance from people like Betty, yourself, and Mary and Noel and all the you know what I mean. These are people that know more than I, and also those within the hospital who come out themselves and put out a letter saying that they were stepping over people in the ED like a war zone. They're not my words, and that there was a tipping point, potentially a critical moment coming up for the services at the hospital. Last word to you briefly.
Yeah, and what I would say is, the staff, this is not a reflection of the staff. I've always said that the staff are amazing, and I've dealt, I've many years of dealing with staff having kids with complex medical needs. But the thing is, anytime I have seen, the only thing I want to say, Greg, I just want to make this point, is anytime I've seen the health minister come down for a visit when it's PR and all that, I can honestly tell you I never see A&E the way they see it. And I am consistently telling them to make an unannounced visit. Consistently saying, stop saying that you're coming. Because when you come down, you don't see what we see. You don't see what the staff are putting up with and what the doctors are putting up with and the nurses and the HCAs and all the other support staff. You need to make an unannounced visit to get the reality of what is being faced by the staff and the patients.
All right.
And until the Minister for Health does that, and I've said it was consistent Minister for Health, not just this one, but consistent Minister for Health, this is what needs to happen. And I agree with Betty, the people of Donegal need to come together now, as do the politicians, and we need to stand up now for our hospital, or because in a few years, it's going to be a community hospital if we don't start standing up for it now.
I'd be worried about it imminent, but I appreciate your time and I respect your view. Thanks, Emma. Emma Gova, wee Donegal mammy, Betty Holmes there. Katrina has a very important story, but I really do have to take a commercial break because otherwise it's just going to be a real problem. So, Katrina, if you want to hold for 4 or 5 minutes, please do, because we want to hear what you have to say too.
Need some help in the bedroom? Cherrymore create hinged, sliding and walk-in wardrobes, perfect for maximising space and adding elegance. Visit their showroom or find out more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
The Peugeot sales event is here with fantastic offers on the Peugeot electric and hybrid range, including the stylish 2008 SUV, Fastback 3008 and spacious 7-seater 5008. Enjoy up to €1,500 trade-in bonus, a free 3-year service plan, 5-year warranty and a free home charger. To avail of these amazing offers, visit McGinley Motors Peugeot for this special sales event from the 23rd to the 30th of May. Terms and conditions apply.
St Michael's GAA are hosting their annual golf fundraiser on Bank Holiday Monday, June the 2nd at Dunfanny Golf Club. Sponsored kindly by McGurk's Golf Letterkenny, Rosie's Bar, Wild Atlantic Camp Creasla and HML Plant Sales. Top prizes include golf bags, 4-ball vouchers at Carlton House and more, as well as great raffle prizes on the day. Call Dunfanny Golf Club today to book your spot.
It's easy to feel trapped when you're dealing with mortgage arrears. The worry, sleepless nights, the impact on you and your family. But there is a way out.
Welcome. Come on in.
At Awalia, our door is always open. We're here to help and ready to listen. Get free, confidential support and practical advice to help you take control of the situation by visiting mabs.ie/Awalia. That's mabs.ie/Awalia, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
The school holidays are almost here, making it the ideal time to start your child's orthodontic journey at Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics in Letterkenny or Donegal Town. Book a summer appointment today and get ahead for September with braces, aligners and expert care all under one roof. Book now by calling Blue Poppy on 074 97 40404.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Halliford. From garden furniture to kitchens, sofas and dining sets, all under one roof. Need a new mattress? Why not visit our sleep centre on the first floor? With a large range of quality beds and mattresses in stock and ready for collection or delivery. Relax in our coffee shop serving hot lunches daily. Open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors, The Halliford.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town, they have fantastic packages on full home renovations. Whether you're looking to update your kitchen, bedroom or living room, visit cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Our best value bundle has just landed in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Watch your must-see live TV, live sports, catch-up TV, and access all the apps you love to binge. Powered by our super-fast, reliable broadband. Bundled together for just €50 a month. Price locked for 12 months. Guaranteed. For more great offers, see virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. New customers only. 500 meg broadband and streaming TV, €50 a month for 12 months, €104 thereafter. Separate subscription required for streaming apps. T's and C's apply.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
At Fleming's, we take great pride in having provided quality steel and roofing to all our customers throughout Ireland since 1860.
Tell them about the doors, John.
OK, Mike. We also provide a full quality range of
doors, industrial doors, garage doors, roller doors, insulated doors.
Thanks for that, Mike.
No dramas, mate.
Fleming's, engineering solutions for 150 years. Call us now on 074 91 48 234.
30 years of magic, 30 years of passion, 30 years of unforgettable performances. Riverdance 30, the new generation, is coming to the Gaiety Theatre in Dublin for a limited anniversary tour. Join us on Thursday the 28th of August to experience the rhythm and pure magic of Riverdance, live in the city where it all began. Luxury coach transfers, overnight accommodation on a bed and breakfast basis at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel in the heart of Dublin. Fantastic seats to the show and free time to explore all that Dublin has to offer. Spaces are limited. Don't miss out on your chance to witness this iconic and unforgettable show. Contact us today on 9125,000 or check out The Outlet on highlandradio.com to book your place now.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, so that weather forecast for today. It'll bring a good deal of cloud, but some bright to sunny breaks too, along with scattered showers. Cloud will thicken in the afternoon, though, with outbreaks of rain spreading from the southwest this evening and early tonight. Temperatures around about 11 to 14 degrees. Katrina, are you still there?
I am, Greg.
I'm
sorry
still
here, yeah.
I'm sorry for holding you for so long. I just didn't. It's just trying to squeeze everything in. Your experience, Katrina, and it affects your mum really, but it affects all of us when it affects our family, of course.
Of course. So 2 weeks ago, Greg, my mum has dementia, and my mum is in the care of the Lake House Nursing Home in Dunfanaghy, and we are so thankful that mum is in where she's in. So I got a call from the Lake House 2 weeks ago, and they said that mum was unwell, and I said, that's grand. Other family members were contacted, and they made the decision that mum needed to go to hospital. So this would have been after 12 o'clock in the day. And that was fine. Mum was brought out to hospital by ambulance, and my mum has gallstones, and Mommy also has issues with IBS. My mother has dementia, Greg. She's dementia. So she got seen fairly quickly, thankfully. One of the nurses that was working in the emergency department seen the surname and realised quick enough that she was my mum. I'm living in Inishowen, as you know. I was unable to travel up to Letterkenny to be with mum because I have children. My husband was away doing a course, and I wasn't able to go up. So everybody was keeping everybody updated as to how mum was being and how she was getting on. They done a scan. They really couldn't find anything that was wrong with her. That they, she got the care she needed. But the issue I have is, Greg, at 11 o'clock at night, they decided that my mother should be discharged back to the home. And I was like, 11 o'clock, okay, that's very late. Mum would have been very tired, maybe a wee bit disoriented. And she had to wait to 4 o'clock in the morning for an ambulance to take her back to the home.
Just in relation to her discharge, are you satisfied that whatever treatment she could get for the IBS, but particularly the gallstones, had been done? Or do you believe she could have been kept in for a day or two and treated further? Like, was she discharged in better health?
I don't know. If I wasn't there, Greg, so I can't make that call. But the issue I had is, it's called have a bit of decency. That woman is the age she is. Could she have stayed overnight? Maybe, yeah. Maybe they could have treated her with fluids. maybe they could have given her something for the pain. I don't know whether they did or they didn't. But my issue is when they discharged her, she had to wait to 4 o'clock in the morning, and Mum was tired. When the paramedics were taking her back to Dunfanaghy, they were so mad that she wasn't kept in. Like, a letter was given to one of my sisters, and the sister didn't give it to the paramedics. So when she arrived back at the lake house, they had nothing to go on. They had nothing.
There was another family member also in hospital, and I think you're sort of comparing the treatment both patients received.
Yeah, so on the same day, I was taking my wee boy Ben for a walk, and my sister-in-law rang me, and she says, Katrina, is there any chance you can come up here? Eddie's unwell. This is my brother-in-law. And I said, give me 10 minutes. I will come up. So when I came up, Eddie was unwell. I am first aid trained. I done security for a long time. I know how to handle a situation. And when I seen Eddie, I was very worried about Eddie. Eddie was a bit blue around the lips. He had chest pain. So I rang NowDoc. NowDoc then transferred me to the ambulance crew. Eddie got amazing care. The first responders down here in Clonmany came and they helped. I didn't have an aspirin to give Eddie. They gave it to him. They kept everything nice and calm, and Eddie was transferred by ambulance to the hospital. Now, Eddie, they thought Eddie might have been having issues with his heart. Eddie was fine. It was just he had a lung infection or a really bad chest infection. Eddie was kept in. Eddie was kept in for a few days, and Eddie is now back home, and he's great form. He's in good form.
Fair play, yeah.
But the reason why I couldn't go up was because I physically couldn't go up. My children needed me here. My husband was away, and I needed to be here to help my family down here.
But you're suggesting that I think the comparison you're making is that maybe there is more effort put into treating
a younger
generation than the older generation. That you believe that's
yes.
I mean, we're talking about one experience, right? So we can't say this is policy or what have you, but that's the
No,
feeling
I'm
you've walked
that,
away
Greg.
with from this situation.
Yeah, and on further, I'm just speaking on my behalf. So I have 2 children. I have Bobby and I have Ben. Bobby was on the waiting list to get his tonsils out from he was 4. Ben was waiting to get his tonsils out from he was 3. We got a letter from Sligo Hospital to go to Letterkenny last September, and it was for Bobby first. But when I was up at that meeting in Letterkenny, in the place behind the grill, I don't know what it's called, I can't remember, but when we got that meeting and I was being chatting to the lady that was doing, I says, listen, my other child is also on the waiting list to have his tonsils taken out. Is there any chance that I could get him seen to too? And she says, Katrina, I don't have the notes, but I will look into it for you. So I left, and then about, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 days later, I got a letter in the post to say that Ben then was to go up and have the meeting to see whether he needed a tonsillectomy or not. And both children needed a tonsillectomy. We had to travel to Sligo. I have no issue travelling to Sligo, but Ben has autism. Ben has additional needs. This is the problem, Greg. Why are we leaving the county to go somewhere else when we have an amazing hospital there? What is wrong? Where can this be fixed?
Well, that's part of this whole conversation. It's to try and retain and improve it. That's why.
Yeah, I would be fairly good friends with Rosina Toner, who is fighting for cancer care. Rosina Toner is a wonderful lady, and she's so right with what she's trying to do. But what is wrong with the healthcare system in Donegal when we have to go so far away?
Well, that's
it's
we're trying to get to the bottom of it. All right, Katrina, listen, I'm glad that your brother-in-law, it could have been much worse, and I suppose breathing a sigh of relief, although not insignificant either. And best wishes to your mum and the rest of the family. Katrina, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Take care. A caller says it would be quicker for anyone living from Ballybofey to Donegal Town to attend the hospital in Sligo than Letterkenny due to traffic. It depends, I suppose, if you're doing it in an emergency situation, but it can be hit and miss too. You can get caught up. In places too. If you're the far side of Ballybofey, for an example, Another caller says the question that needs to be asked is how do we attract young doctors to Letterkenny? All the services they need to be upgraded before we spend any money. We have no concerts, etc., for them to attend. Well, we said it. I mean, there's lots of people. There's lots that the Northwest has to offer. I think the locality would be okay if we can sort of work on the working conditions and have more full-time consultants and have higher grade staff there and have it easier to work. I think there's lots of people might sort of think, wow, I can go kayaking around sea stacks on my day off rather than, going to see Britney Spears or something. So I'm not contradicting you. I think we've an awful lot to offer, but I think the problem often is the work, the actual work environment and the grades of various staff working in different areas. It's the scale of the problem is such that it's not going to be fixed by tinkering about here or there. That the Minister of Health needs to recognise it as a special case, I think, and throw resources at it.
Bring your dream kitchen to life with Cherrymore. Discover functional, beautiful designs with a wide range of colours and styles to suit any project. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
It's the perfect time to trade up with Opel. Whether you're in the market for a diesel, petrol, hybrid or all-electric, find your perfect 252 from the incredible Opel range. Order your new Corsa, Astra, Mokka or Grandland during the Opel 252 trade-up event and enjoy flexible payment options plus a €1,000 trade-up bonus. Opel's trade-up event. Find out more at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details. Terms and conditions apply. €1,000 trade-up contribution can be used as a trade-in or deposit booster.
Looking for the ultimate school tour destination? Discover the largest family entertainment complex in the Northwest, Century Complex. Dive into fun with our soft play area, conquer the indoor crazy golf and enjoy a private cinema experience with packages available. Call 07491219976 to book your adventure today.
Celebrate summer this week at Centra with our Summer Sizzler offers. Like selected barbecue meats, any 3 for €10. Walker's Baked 6-pack crisps, $1.50 each. And Am de la Mer wine, €9. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked, served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish, or delicious chicken, plus a great selection of gluten-free options. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8, and every Friday for breakfast from 9. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
Cutting Through the Spin, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, loads coming up on the show in the next hour. It's a packed one. It really is. Our next guest in studio, we're going to be speaking to journalist Gavin Riley about his book. I believe we are, if we could squeeze that in. And Chris is going to be in with Business Chat as well. But at 11 o'clock, let's get a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The government will take steps to seek an emergency special session of the UN General Assembly. Taoiseach Simon Harris told the Dáil Chamber in the last hour that he'll advance a Labour motion calling for the UN Security Council to take further steps in Gaza. Labour TDs are also calling for an international peacekeeping force in the region. School children in Letterkenny with special needs are said to be facing intolerable delays travelling to and from school due to the town's traffic congestion. Into representative Rebecca McDade, who works as an SNA on a school bus, says parents are extremely worried about the knock-on effect the delays are having on their children, who are forced to sit on a bus longer than necessary. She says there is much talk about many road projects planned for the town, yet chronic traffic issues persist. There's calls for a major push to secure funding for improvements on the N15 from Maclay's Corner in Stranorlar to Killygordon, Castlefin and Lifford. Speaking at a meeting of the Lifford-Stranorno Municipal District this week, Councillor Patrick McGuyan said the road had previously been included in a plan along with the long-awaited Twin Towns bypass. However, he says the bypass is now part of the 10T project and it appears the N15 is off the table as it is not mentioned in the National Development Plan. He wants the Council's Chief Executive and Director of Road Services to brief the MD and is ultimately seeking a meeting with the Transport Minister. Investigations are continuing into a theft at a service station in Ballybofey last night. It's understood a number of people entered the commercial premises on the Donegal Road at around 8 o'clock before making off with a sum of cash. A man has been arrested in Strabane as part of investigations into a road-related incident in the town yesterday afternoon. Police were alerted to a white Vauxhall Astra being driven erratically on Berry Hill Road towards Ardygarvan at around 12:25. The vehicle was later located on the Great Northern Link Road. The 28-year-old was subsequently arrested on suspicion of drink driving, aggravated vehicle taking, causing damage to the vehicle and using a motor vehicle without insurance. And a potato blight advisory has been issued by Met Éireann. For the next 3 days, large portions of the south are at very high risk of blight, with the advisory due to hit parts of the West and Midlands later. IFA Potato Chair Sean Ryan says it's due to the warm and wet conditions forecast for the coming days. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thanks very much indeed.
Aidan's just missed the ice cream van and can hear the song fade into the distance. But it's no bother, as Mam stocked up for summer with Aldi's specially selected luxury Irish ice cream, Madagascan vanilla, for only $2.99. He's also been treated to delicious 100% Irish fresh strawberries. Ooh! New season, Board Bia quality assured, and only $2.65. The ice cream van's nothing but a distant memory. Good food, good mood, from Aldi. While stocks last.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. It's okay, Tanya. Me and Tanya were just chatting a wee bit off air, but it was just no one heard nothing, and it was nothing controversial anyway. How are you keeping?
Very good.
It's great to have you up with us. And this is part of Wellness Wednesday, and Tanya Rasha is in studio with us. And it's really actually quite remarkable when you see it written down that you lost 17 stone.
Yeah, well over 17, nearly 17 and a half now.
That's in 4 years, is that right?
4 years.
And you did it through the gastric sleeve.
I did.
Okay. At one point, your heaviest was 28 stone. Is that right?
Yeah.
What's life like when you're 28 stone?
Just so depressing. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even walk up the stairs to go to bed. I had to stop halfway, and my breathing was so bad. And to do a food shop, I couldn't do a weekly shop. I could only do like a daily shop because I knew I could go in and maybe get 5 things because my back would be hurting.
Yeah.
And just general life. I couldn't put my shoes and socks on. So, then I got reliant on my partner to do things for me. And it was just one day he said to me about him being my carer. And I thought, no, that's not the relationship I want. You're my, I'd say boyfriend, but he's old now, so he's more my man friend now. But I thought, no, I don't want that type of relationship.
And was it when he talked to you as being his carer? Was that there's tipping points in lots of things, or there's turning points? That was the point where it's sort of he redefined what you envisaged your relationship to be.
Yes,
and he meant in a nice way.
Oh, it wasn't.
It landed with you in a certain way.
Yes, it wasn't meant in any way as in I'm sick of looking after you type thing. It was just a throwaway comment and it stuck in my heart.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was my son rang my mum to say he was worried about me because I couldn't walk up the stairs, and it was that as well. I knew anyway. I knew my health was getting bad.
But did you have occasion to go into the GP whilst you were at your heaviest? I just wonder what the conversations like that were like, because obviously what the GP might be saying to you, and it depends on the GP, but sometimes they can be very direct. It's interesting that maybe what they were relating wasn't really landing with you, and that one comment did. So, like, how do GPs assess your health? I mean, what's your blood pressure like? What's all this kind of stuff?
Unbelievably, I had low cholesterol. My heart was fine. I had no symptoms, no diabetes.
What anything. A fantastic start point to make a difference then.
Yes,
Isn't
exactly.
It really?
Yeah, and but I mean, everything was always put down to my weight. Like I had lots of gynae problems and things like that. And that was always down to my weight. I was due to have a hysterectomy, but they didn't want to do it because of my weight, which was understandable, you know, but obviously recovering would have been much harder being that kind of heavy. But I knew I was getting to either I was going to be bedbound or I just wouldn't be here anymore. My heart would have given out.
Yeah.
So
what was your relationship with food? Because I think now, you know, certainly medical professionals see obesity as a disease. It is a disease.
Oh, it is.
Some people think it's a lifestyle choice and all that kind of stuff, but some people think lots of things. But, you know, could you not have just cut down on food?
No, I was addicted to food. And it seems silly to say food is an addiction, but it is. But unfortunately, your body needs food to survive. And
so you can't go cold turkey. It's like booze. No. You can cut all booze out.
No.
You're being asked to sort of continue to take what you're addicted to, which is kind of, it doesn't like gambling. Quit gambling.
And it was the thing, it made me happy. You know, it brought me joy for that short amount of time. I mean, I've been to Slimming World and places like that, and I could lose 4 or 5 stone very easily, but I would never stick to it. That, you know, it would kind of wean off, and then before I know it, I'd be back up to the higher weights again.
So, again, I don't want to misframe anything and contradict me, please. It's your story, right? But was it the case that really you weren't able to do this on your own? Without an intervention?
No,
with the best will in the world, you simply couldn't. You could drop down 4 or 5 stone, but eventually that would come back on, and it would have just been this perpetual yo-yo until such time as your health failed.
Yeah, and it would have brought friends with it because I would have put on, say, like another 5 stone, you know, on top of whatever I would have lost very easily. You know, so I needed something permanent, and during COVID, I sort of started to do my research into the gastric sleeve and to see where I would have been able to have had it in Ireland, but I would have been on a waiting list for about 8 years, and I didn't have the luxury of time.
What is a gastric sleeve?
So basically, they take away about 80% of your stomach and leave a very small, thin kind of tube, almost like a shirt sleeve. So your appetite is very minimal.
So you're full very early.
Very, very
What
quickly.
about then what about drawing what we need from our food, you know, in terms of, you know, I mean, obviously, I don't know where that happens, but there's the stomach is the size it is, right? Because it's developed over time and you're reducing it greatly. So in terms of, you know, vitamin or iron absorption or wherever, like, is that impacted when you reduce the size of your stomach?
Yes, it is. And obviously things like your body goes into shock, so you can start having hair loss and things like that. But the company that I went with, they were very good, and you have a dietitian, so they teach you everything that you need, that your body actually needs, rather than what you think it needs. And you may feel like you're hungry, but you're not. You're actually thirsty because you've not drunk enough water. So, you know, you're kind of re-educated as well, which that's been my most useful tool that I've had, as well as obviously having the sleeve.
I've heard from, and I think I may have spoken to people that went in and got one, and they weren't aware that you weren't really able to eat a great deal. That they weren't aware that that at times they can't have that lovely blowout meal.
Yes. Yeah.
That this is a long-term alteration here.
Yeah.
And it is going to impact how much you can eat, even if you want a wedding blowout or something.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But I chose life. I chose to live. I chose to put my
Was
children...
that made clear to you at the time that, you know, you're literally making a life?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's the thing. I listened to all the advice that was given to me. And even now, 4 years on, they're still there for me if I not sure about something, which was fantastic.
But your aftercare, and God forbid if there's any intervention required, that has to happen here.
Yes, unfortunately. Okay. But the only reason I chose to go abroad was because of the fact I didn't have the luxury of time, and I didn't have 10,000 euros sitting in the bank.
Ironically, and this is not a criticism, but part of the reason there are delays here is that a lot of the doctors that are operating in that area are spending an awful lot of time doing the aftercare from people who get the operations abroad.
Yes.
If the truth be told,
yeah,
right?
No, that is true.
So that does actually further delay people getting it publicly in this country. But that being said, you know, this is a major difference you can make to someone's life, greatly improve their outcomes, less pressure on the health service. We should be investing in this area anyway. We spend now to save down the future. So you did research. You flew out then. Well, it was in the middle of COVID, really, 2021. Did you have to travel alone?
I took my partner with me because that was Mum and Dad were very concerned about me flying to a different country to have the surgery. So that was their one thing, is like Mark had to come with me. And but it was nice having somebody there as well. And because I was a bag of nerves, because obviously I just didn't know what was ahead of me. But he could ask the questions that I would forget. And I wanted his opinion as well, because if he had any kind of red flags, we could have walked away completely, just gone home and not had it happen. But because of doing the research into this company, I think I had that.
Do you work for this company?
No, okay,
I
don't.
Right,
no,
I
I'm just
want to be clear.
I'd say
no, that's perfectly fine. I was just curious if you work for a specific company.
No, I just support the good
people.
work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Right, so you went through the tests over there and you were happy with that. Then the surgery, how intrusive is it? How long is it until such time as you're, able to sit up in bed?
It was keyhole surgery.
Okay.
So it was 3 tiny incisions, and I was up when I was back in the room. I was up an hour later walking. Right. Okay. So it was, even though it was quite a big surgery, taking away that much of your stomach, it was very, what's the word? Like, it wasn't as invasive as I thought it was going to be. So.
And you went home 2 days later. Were you okay with that? Did you feel that maybe you could have done with another week of observation, or did that feel right?
Yeah, no, I felt fine. And obviously I had the Fit to Fly certificate given to me. And obviously, I was nearly 28 stone then, so the flights are very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that it wasn't anything that the surgery made me uncomfortable. It was my own.
The seats aren't really to accommodate someone of that.
No,
that
and then
weight.
getting the bus back to Letterkenny from the airport was a bit uncomfortable, but
So I mean, obviously, then your stomach, you have to be careful what you put into it, over and above what you would have to be careful what you put into it, presumably. Like, are you on a liquid diet for a time, or how does that work?
Yes, obviously you need your stomach to heal properly. So you will have a liquid diet for a few weeks, then you'll go onto a puree diet for a few weeks, and then you'll go onto a soft food diet for a couple of weeks. And then you slowly introduce different foods back in.
But you want to avoid things like spicy foods, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. But I wouldn't be a spicy food eater anyway. But and then you're sort of learning about proteins and what foods are actually good for you, what keeps you fuller for longer, and what your body needs vitamin wise.
So you lost 28 stone. You lost 17 stone. Does that happen in an operation like this? Is there sort of like a massive amount that goes and then things slow down a bit, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or is it a consistent weight loss since the operation?
For the first sort of year, I probably lost 10 stone very, very quickly. And then for the last 3 years, it's just been gradually coming off.
Then you ramp up the exercise, presumably, because you're more active and mobile and less impact on your joints and what have you.
Yes, exactly. So, and now I'm off. I do my 10K every morning, and
You do what, sorry?
10K.
10K driving. You drive to where you do a 1K walk, I take it now.
No, that's me walk. Right. I walk around Inch. That everyone will see me around the wildlife.
I mean, like, I can only imagine what it must feel for you, but, especially people that stuck with you, when you were at your greatest and actually sort of maybe conceded, I'm a carer now.
Yes.
But also to, if your kids are worried about you as well, do you know what I mean? Like, what's their reaction been to this? Because they have a new person here. I mean, your soul and your heart and everything is still there, okay? Yeah. But now they have a person who can do stuff with them, that they're not afraid they're going to fall down the stairs or not get up the stairs or
just drop dead.
Yeah, exactly. And others in your family. So has the biggest impact been on yourself or those around you, I wonder?
Probably more those around me, I think. Especially my sisters. We always joke.
It's not Lisa, is it?
It is Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa. Lisa Gallagher. So proud of you. Tanya. Love her sister, Lisa X.
We always used to say she was Ireland's fittest family and I was Ireland's fattest family.
You were two sides of the spectrum, were you?
Definitely, because she's always a sporty one. Yeah. And she was so proud of me. I messaged her yesterday because I'd done a little bit of running. And I messaged her to say, Lisa, you'll be so proud of me. I was running yesterday. Yeah. So it's, you know, and it's seeing she's been through her own journey with breast cancer, and so I've been able to be there
Sounds
for her.
like you've both been there for each other, and that's what.
Absolutely, because it's only the two. You know, we only have each other, so it's lovely. And mum and dad as well, for them to obviously see my health improve as much as it has.
Oh, you don't probably know half of the worry they went through. You know,
no.
I know with my own parents, sadly both passed, but you know, if they're worried about you, you probably only hear a bit of it.
Yes.
You don't hear it all.
Yes.
You know? And that weighs down because you know you don't want to be pre-deceased. I don't know, it's harsh, right? But you don't. So in terms of consumption now, so you have to be conscious, do you, when you drink water versus when you eat? Do you? Because I presume water can make you feel full.
Yes.
So it is, again, you know, you've chose life, but it is, you change how you live your life as well.
Yes.
Even as something as simple as whether you have a glass of water before you eat.
So you're very aware of eating and drinking. And I always leave about half an hour between food and drink, just because it can make you feel a bit sicky. You know, it fills you up too quickly. Like my other half now says, I'm such a cheap date because I can either have a couple of shots and that's me away with the fairies, or just a small starter. But it's just, you're more conscious of what you're eating as well, and it's not anything that I'm not always thinking about food, which is what I was doing before. I would have gone to bed thinking about what I'm going to have for breakfast.
But that cycle's been broken now, hasn't it? Because your brain knows it's pointless. She ain't going to eat nothing, so there's no point me wasting my energy on this.
Exactly, which is great.
And this is it now. Your stomach is that size.
Yes.
This is, you make the decision and that's that, right?
You can, I mean, it can be stretched if you were constantly, say, eating Chinese,
It's never going to get to 100%.
No, no.
Post surgery and such dramatic weight loss, obviously, you know, is there any procedures take place? Obviously, I presume there's excess skin and stuff, right?
Yes.
I hope this is not being personal, but is that part of it? Does that resolve itself through exercise and stuff, or are there surgery options, or does it matter given the wider conversation?
To be honest, I'm not. It doesn't bother me too much, but there are days when I think, oh, I wish I didn't have, like this sort of
But that's
thing.
not terribly significant either.
No, exactly. In the greater health kind of things, it's not. But I am considering having skin removal of my stomach, because that's where I was my biggest, was in my tummy.
And that was also, I mean, obviously there's a cosmetic element to it, but just practically as well, it's there. It's you're carrying around something around that you don't arguably need.
Probably a stone in weight there of just skin. So once that's gone, but it's even getting clothes. I have to have a bigger size, say, in a dress on the top. And it's sort of...
But that's optional, isn't it? You could say,
absolutely.
I'm perfectly happy, there's no issue here. Or you could say, do you know what?
Tuck it in your underwear.
Or I might just get shot. It depends. That's
Yes.
But there's nothing that you have to manage with it. A couple of people have asked. It's just what you choose to do next.
Yes, exactly. I mean, sometimes during the summer, you can get a little bit sore in places, but you just... Could be anything.
I can get that. I know it sounds ridiculous. I can get that just in the line of skin on my neck if I sit outside for a long period of time.
On the bigger picture, it's not the end of the world.
And it must be just amazing to be able to walk around.
Oh my God, I love walking now. Before, I wouldn't have even walked from parking the car out the front of the building here. I wouldn't have wanted to have walked there. And, and just...
Obviously, people now are seeing great success in the likes of Ozempic and other weight loss drugs, and people are losing huge amounts of weight. Right? Does any part of you think, Christ, I wish they were about and as accessible?
No.
You don't feel it would have worked for
because
you, per se?
I know as soon as I stopped those injections, what I call the food noise would have come back, and it's like going to Slimming World. Because as soon as you stop that, all those, where you have the hunger restriction.
It suppresses the appetite
that would have come
temporarily.
back.
Okay,
Yes.
and this is where we get into sort of the fact that these things aren't always life choices, and obesity is a disease, and you would have just had bounce back weight gain.
Yes, yeah.
And as well as that too, you might have struggled to get prescribed it because you didn't have diabetes.
No,
so you
I
might
didn't.
not have.
Honestly, I couldn't have been more healthy at that weight, but it's incredible.
And in terms of sort of the care now, right? You're 3 or 4 years post-op. Obviously, you've lost really the equivalent of, if I were that weight, I would be deemed overweight.
Yes.
See, this is the thing that I went to the GP. I'm still peed off with him. He's a great GP, but I went and I thought, I'm doing all right here, I mean, I starved myself to try and I looked at my belly and he says, you're going to have to do something about that. And I says, what? I says, well, he says, well, that's on your chest and that's in your heart and all that kind of stuff. And it was so demoralizing in a way.
Just feel really depressed.
That's why I was asking you about going in as someone who's 28 stone, because I got a bit of a grilling, right? I got a bit of a grilling, so I can only imagine. But I think obviously then there's a different approach and people understand the situation that you're in. So in terms of ongoing care, right? So I mean, your stomach's healed.
Yes.
There was only keyhole surgery, so there's nothing of any consequence there. Is this it now? Do you have to take supplements or?
No, but I make sure I have a healthy lifestyle anyway. So I'm making sure I get all my vitamins that I need through my food. My biggest godsend was my soup maker. So I used to make
soup
really,
maker,
that's I wouldn't have thanked you for soup before, but now my tastes have changed. Like I love fish, absolutely love fish, and I wouldn't have thanked you for fish before. And like my soups, I make sure.
And then when you have a treat, it's a real treat too, isn't it?
Yes, but the last time I had a treat was last year. I had a bit of an Easter egg, and it ended up in A&E with gallstone pain.
Oh, no, okay. Because I know I've spoken to people before who've had the surgery, and it's like, they have half a starter and a dessert, and that's the blowout.
Yes.
Oh,
gosh, no, I don't even do desserts anymore. I think my sweet tooth has gone completely, which isn't a bad thing because you don't miss what you don't want.
Of course, of course.
But I still would have a biscuit with a cup of tea.
The mind is a funny thing, you see. It works against us a lot of the time, but then sometimes we get the better of it, and you got the better of your sort of,
definitely.
food thing.
A lot of it, I think, sort of 60% was what was going on in my brain. I think that was part of it, and then the rest was obviously what I was putting in my mouth. But I think sort of taking a stop, looking at yourself and looking at what your life is going to be as opposed to what your life could be. I wouldn't have been here now, Greg, to be honest. I'd have been dead by now. But now I'm loving life.
Because I mean, you get to 28 stone. Is there an upper level? Do you know what I mean? Like you
Bedbound.
are, do you know that's it next, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're really that sort of whatever way that comment affected you, it took you back from the brink.
Yes. Absolutely.
How many times are you going to go, I'm going to actually just put the bedroom downstairs? We'll get an ensuite.
It would have been impossible. It's just when you actually look at what would have had to have been put in place for me, and you think, no, I don't want that for anybody. I don't want that for my family. I don't want that for Mark. I don't want that for anybody. I don't want to be looked after. I'm too independent.
When we talk of other addictions on this program, sort of like gambling, alcohol, whatever it might be, often it's because someone has an addictive personality, right? And then they have to be careful then, because you could give up booze but then be addicted to whatever you replace it with. Is food addiction like that? Do you have an addictive personality? In other words, like as say, for instance, the walking, are you using that to replace? It sounds so loaded, right? Addictive personality,
but it is a thing.
Because I'm kind of obsessive myself, right? And I could find myself obsessed on one thing and then I'll move on and start obsessing on another. So I think obsessiveness and sort of having that trait and addiction sort of in the same space, right? So firstly, is food addiction then an addiction that you need to replace? And have you done that with walking or exercise, or have you just happened to start loving walking and exercise, if you know what I mean? I think a person here is maybe thinking they're going down this route, but they're afraid they might end up addicted to something else.
I would say 100% I definitely have an addictive personality, how I can hook onto things. And, I'm really 100% focused.
Yeah.
Say like as soon as I had the sleeve, it was food. And then I was looking at what protein meals I can make. And then it's sort of, as I lost the weight, I then got into more fitness. Yeah. And then, oh my goodness, if I don't go walking...
but isn't it, there's the pathway there is a positive pathway, isn't it? It's, you know what I mean? Like, to say if I am ebb and flow in terms of obsessiveness, often it's negative, it's negative catastrophizing and stuff, but yours is you've directed yourself. But when so much positive's going on in your life, when, your son looks at you a different way, when your partner looks at you a different way, when you see the pleasure in your mother and father's eyes, that's all joy, isn't it? And only, hopefully 9 times out of 10, all that can come from that is joy.
Yes, definitely.
And you've taken it out.
Yeah.
There's the one thing about the stories of people going out to Turkey for stuff, right? I don't know where they come from. Like, I know for an example, the anti-vaping came from the smoking industry, right? So, you know, like, so sometimes when I see a rush of anti-foreign surgery stories, I just wonder what all these journalists took an interest in all of this all at the same time. So in terms of what people might have concerns about traveling out to Turkey or other countries, right? What's your message to them? Everyone has to make their own decisions. You can't say do it, right?
Oh no,
but it's
no,
about
I never
do
would.
research. Is
yes,
that it?
100%. And I kept my own GP involved the whole way. I found sort of 3 or 4 different companies and went to him each time and took his opinion, because I'm not of a medical background. I can't. My judgment is just look at this glossy brochure. This looks beautiful. Look at the hotel. You know, the hospital bed looks like a hotel bed. You know, I can't medically see, well, they haven't got this or this or this. So definitely keep your GP involved the whole way as much as possible as you can get in to see one. But definitely do the research, because there's some fantastic companies out there, and like other things, you know, you get what you pay for. If you think something's quite cheap, there's a reason behind that, because
I'm a great fan of the likes of Google reviews. I'm not saying for Turkish hospitals, I'm on about for food and stuff. Because you know it's other people's experience.
Yes.
You know, if I'm buying something off Amazon, if I see 2,500 positive reviews, I know that's not been skewed by bots or what have you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't beat what other people feel and other people's experiences. So tap into that. That's
yes,
what I would
and
do.
there's also lots of support pages out there on Facebook with different companies have support pages, so you can go on to those and do your research that way with actual people that can show you the before and after pictures.
All right, great stuff. Do you do any consultancy or anything in that regard, or do you just tell your story in terms of, I'm just in case anyone rings up and goes, oh, I'd love to.
Well, we actually have an open day on Saturday. I don't know if I can say
No,
that
say
or not,
go
but
ahead, yeah.
it's at the Station House and it's the Health Store Turkey. And I'm just there because I get so excited about talking about how I know how it's changed my life, and if I can reach out and change one person's life, then my journey's been through
That's
it.
with the hospital that you worked with in Turkey. There's an open day. If people have any questions, get down and
on
have
Saturday.
A chat.
Yes,
Saturday, right,
yes,
okay.
yeah, on a Station House Hotel.
What time's that at?
10 till 6.
10 till 6. Okay,
Yes, and
so
I'll be
drop
there
in and have a chat.
chatting away.
Okay, great stuff. Listen, Tanya, thanks for your time. I'm delighted for you. It's remarkable that you've lost the weight of a heavy stone boxer, a heavyweight boxer.
And if you imagine carrying a person,
No,
on
I
your
don't.
back,
I don't. That's one thing I never get that actually. No. Because really, think you would think that you'd be just now a brilliant high jumper. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not too sure.
But if you did all the training with carrying Alexander Usyk on your back,
I'd
which
be
is
doing
effectively
high
what you
rocks
did.
and everything, wouldn't I?
I'll tell you another thing about that. What I was thinking about that is, you know, like Hudson's 3.5 stone. So if I pick Hudson, well, he's 3 stone. But sometimes we walk somewhere, and very rarely, but he doesn't want to go back. So I pick him up, right, and I'm walking back to the car or whatever. See, after 100 feet, I'm like,
your back's killing you.
And that's an additional 3 stone.
Yes. Yeah.
So how you even manage to get anywhere carrying an additional 17 stone on top of a human, it's remarkable. How could you even get up the stairs with Alexander Usyk on your back?
But we actually went to Vegas as well for my dad's 70th birthday when I was that size. How I did that, I just don't know.
No, it's maybe you tapped into the determination that you have now.
I'm stubborn.
Because that was always there. So,
I am a stubborn
All right.
mule.
You can chat to Tanya and the crew that she worked with in Turkey down at the Station House on Saturday. 10 to 6. Okay. That's in Letterkenny. Thanks, Tanya.
That's no problem.
All right.
Thanks for
back
having
with
me.
more after these.
With 29 years of experience, Cherrymore is trusted across Ireland for exceptional quality and service. Let their expert team guide you from concept to completion. Cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Be a winner and view the trophy collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Full colour awards, glass and crystal, perpetual cups and shields, sports awards, metal cups and medals. Whatever the occasion, click bmcsports.ie. Budget medals for sports days with personalised inserts to promote your club and school. Full engraving service available at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
We carry those up long before the day breaks, who make our lives better, whatever it takes. And for those who need some extra assistance, we'll get you on board. We'll go the distance. With new electric vehicles, quiet and cleaner, our growing TFI network helps keep Ireland greener for the days of your life and the big nights out too. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Summer Sounds at Harvey's Point. Every Wednesday from May the 21st until June the 25th, a magical evening of music, song and dance from some of Ireland's greatest stars. Gourmet dinner, the warmest of welcomes. Don't delay. Book today. harveyspoint.com or 074 972 2208. That magical evening on the shores of Loch Esk awaits.
Ready to transform your smile? Discover the magic of Blue Poppy Dental in Letterkenny and Donegal Town. With implantologists, surgical and cosmetic dentists, orthodontists and an endodontist all under one roof, we've got all your dental needs covered. Starting your journey is easy. Call us on 074 91 20355 or book your appointment online anytime through our user-friendly patient portal at bluepoppydental.com. Blue Poppy Dental and Orthodontics, where smiles shine brighter.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 11:32, and I've been a bold boy. I didn't want to interrupt my conversation with Tanya, so I'm going to have to take another break. And joining me afterwards is Chris Ashmore, because we're going to talk about the podcast and a bit of business news. I mentioned Gavin Riley a little earlier on, the journalist. You'd be familiar with him off the radio and TV. He's got a new book out. It's pulling the curtain back, really, on Irish politics, all the stuff I presume some of you wish to know. I'm going to be chatting to him at 10:15 tomorrow, so we're just deferring that till tomorrow. So I'm going to take this quick break, then it's back with Chris.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Need some inspiration for your home renovation? Explore Cherrymore's kitchen and bedroom collections and create a space as unique as you. Book your design appointment today at cherrymore.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Sizzling savings at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh. 33% off salmon sides and trout fillets. 25% off housekeeper's roast. And 2 for €8 across the signature taste range. Great food, great prices. Shop smart and local with real rewards at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh.
Easy Living Furniture's sizzling summer sale ends this Sunday. Don't miss out as absolutely everything's reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress and accessories. Summer sale ends Sunday at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture, luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
The closing date for the Bus Air and School Transport online portal is Friday, 6th of June. The portal will close for 3 weeks after this date. To make a payment or enter medical card details, go to busaaron.ie/school transport. Ticket prices remain the same as last year. A late payment may mean that a school transport ticket is not available for your child. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €5.5 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Right, Chris Ashmore, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
Very good, Greg. Good to see you.
Yes, great to see you too. Business Matters live today. Live for you to pre-record. It's pre-recorded. It's available for you now to listen on demand on our website. It's a podcast from Highland Radio. Chris Ashmore researches and produces and is the presenter of it. It gives us an insight into the world of business. Not just the typical stuff. It's businesses that operate in all different sectors, from small businesses. You know, you can go from manufacturing honey to manufacturing wind turbines and everything in between. You just don't know what's coming up, and that's the joy of it. We'll get to what's coming up in the podcast in a moment, but just to catch up on a little bit of news. And Donegal's success at the National Enterprise Awards, Mr. Ashmore.
Yes, indeed. In fact, it's a Donegal hat-trick, so good news to start off on, Greg. The Greencastle-based firm Seabound Engineering, which we have featured on Business Matters in the past, well, they have won the Best Export Award at the National Enterprise Awards, which were held in the Mansion House in Dublin. Now, this firm in Greencastle, they are a specialist manufacturer of essentially custom-built aluminium vessels, really for the aquaculture and marine sectors. They've also supplied vessels for search and rescue, varying sizes of vessels in range, in value terms, from 120,000 euro to over a 3 million euro. It's been a very successful company. So well done indeed to Thomas Havlin, the CEO down there. And as I say, a hat-trick for Donegal businesses. Living Green won the award in 2024 and Silver Strand Ropeworks in 2023, all from Inishowen. So the entrepreneurial spirit alive and well.
It's all happening. Right, a new exhibition coming up, or the launch of an exhibition at least, at the ATU.
Yes, now this is a chance to get a look at what some of the graduates at the ATU Letterkenny have been doing in terms of design and creative media. So starting tomorrow, there will be the launch of the Design and Creative Media Graduate Showcase exhibition at the campus in Letterkenny, and they're celebrating the work of graduates, fashion design, animation, film production, digital photography. And the hope will be that many of these graduates, of course, will go on and have a successful career in their chosen field. So this is an interesting opportunity for anybody. You can pop down. The exhibition is on over the bank holiday weekend, runs to the 5th of June. So get a glimpse of some very interesting things happening down there.
Yeah, the window's closing on the Female Business Accelerator programme, but not too late just yet.
Yeah, just a last call, as it were, for this programme run through the local enterprise office. So if you're interested in that, doesn't get underway till September, but get your application in now.
Right, okay. I should listen to you, shouldn't I? Right, sorry about that. Right, tell us what's happening about this trip to Japan, a trade mission.
This is there's around 140 business personnel from across the island of Ireland who are in Japan this week. It's all been done through Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year program, and it's called a CEO retreat. So amongst those taking part, William McColgan of McColgan's Quality Foods in Strabane, who many of us may well be aware of, and also Martin Tierney of a company in Limavady called Seating Matters. They are over in Japan, and it's a chance for networking of CEOs at a very top level, and they're also going to be
tapping into
exactly
or
and
making sourcing materials, whatever it might be. So
it's a great opportunity for them, and finding out more about as well Japan's culture, traditions, but obviously essentially it's a business trip. So who knows what could be a nice spin-off from that.
If I won the lotto, I would go. I think I'd go to Japan. I'd like to go to China. I'd like to go to there's different places I'd like to go to. I just don't have the resources. And I think really, my problem is my dreams are based on winning the lottery, and I don't really do the lotto too much because it's a poor man's tax, Chris. It's a poor man's tax. Right, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, one other bit of breaking news just today.
Right,
and this may well come up on the programme in the weeks and months ahead. The Irish Hotels Federation is actually joining forces with hotels across Europe to support what's been called a landmark collective legal action against the global giant Booking.com. Now, what's happening here is that hotels are seeking substantial financial compensation for what they claim are damages resulting from inflated commission rates that were charged by the platform. Many of us may well be aware of going on to Booking.com and other sites and hotels. You're getting your deal, but what's going on behind the scenes? There's commission and all this. So this legal action is going ahead, and it's estimated, now this has just been announced literally in the last hour and a half, it's estimated that over 900 Irish hotels and guest houses are eligible to join this legal action. Don't know if there's any in Donegal yet, but I think it's something we're going to hear a lot more about.
Okay, right. It could run, that one.
It could.
Or Booking.com, if they feel there is a case to answer, might settle. Okay, interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay, another interesting matter is a new book out. It's called A New Ireland, and you've been talking about this to your guest.
Yes, this week I've been speaking with financial journalist and economic commentator Paul Gosling, who lives in Derry. He's a new book out, A New Ireland, and there's a 5-year review as part of the title. He's basically looking at North and South, how the economies compare, our health systems, demographics, productivity, the environment, education, you name it. And it's all tied in with the likelihood that we are going to have a referendum on Irish unity at some stage in the coming years. So, it's going to be very important that the right figures are out there. And in the book, he does take a look at Brexit and the misinformation that was out there, because at the end of the day, people are going to have to make up their minds. They're going to have to vote. So it's absolutely vital that you get information. I have to say, it's a very, very interesting book. And, straight away, within a few pages, I was struck by just, how much I don't know about the North, how different the system is. And we live in a border county, so we're more exposed to things in the North than somebody in Wexford or Cork. So I think we can hear a clip here now, and essentially he's explaining why he wrote the book.
The purpose of the book is to answer two questions, one of which is, to what extent are we on any sort of road towards a referendum? And secondly, what are the differences between the North and the South, and how do you overcome those? And I think a fact-based approach is the best way to deal with this. We do have a significant problem in Northern Ireland, which is that Stormont really isn't performing very well. That's most obvious with the health services. But generally, we have a problem across quite a lot of public services and infrastructure areas.
Right, it is the real conversation, I think, about any border poll or however it's described. It's about really, how the 6 and the 26 integrate, not just in terms of, I think we talked about this in the past, in terms of, respecting cultures. Both areas are so culturally diverse now. It's going to be about jobs and not. I'm not saying it won't come down to that, but it's also going to be about jobs, financial implications in Dublin and Belfast. Will the UK pay anything towards it? Will it be over long term? There's so much to settle. But it's very possible one of the key players in all of this is someone who was responsible, I think, for a great part for Brexit, and that's Mr. Nigel Farage and his Reform Party. I've a few comments on that, actually, to tease out with you, but line up the clip there for us.
Yeah, so we can hear this clip, and I've been asking him, just given Reform UK's very impressive performance in the recent local elections in Britain, there's a real chance that Nigel Farage could end up in 10 Downing Street. In the likes of Reform UK, if Nigel Farage is in 10 Downing Street, his outlook on the North, where do we feel he stands at the moment in relation to the Good Friday Agreement and indeed a referendum on Irish unity?
Well, he's in alliance with more right-wing unionist politicians within Northern Ireland. So on one level, you would expect him to be negative towards Irish unity. But Reform UK is more than anything, it's an English nationalist outlook. And English nationalism doesn't really care anything about Northern Ireland. So there would be a lot of pressure within a Reform UK government towards basically focusing much more on England and much less, not just on Northern Ireland, but also on Scotland and Wales. And bear in mind that the spend per person in England is significantly below that of Wales and Scotland, as well as in Northern Ireland. And so you would expect a Reform UK government to be keen to change the dynamics more in favour of England, less in favour of other areas. And it is quite possible that it could lead to a vote for Irish unity. But the other thing about this, of course, is that there are other elements of this, that the Reform UK is very keen to leave the arrangements around the European Court of Justice, and that underpins the Good Friday Agreement. So if you have a government of Reform UK that basically is demanding the rewriting of an international agreement, the Good Friday Agreement, then that creates a lot of difficulties. So I think that if we do have a Reform UK government, then that will actually significantly increase the demands for Irish unity.
It is an interesting one because Reform are in a sticky wicket, because even recently some of their policy statements have moved from the right to the centre. And I'm not sure they can get elected pandering only to the right, but also I think they're so toxic from leaning to the right that they might not pander to the central vote base either, or even the left-leaning base. So it is interesting. And also, too, in relation to Brexit, I just wonder, when the dust settles on this new deal that the British have struck with the EU, a lot of best of both worlds stuff in there, if Brexit might start to look a little bit more like a better deal than it did up until now. So there's a lot playing out. It's interesting with the book because, you know, he's committed a lot of what he said already to the book, and you just wonder where we're going to be at in 6 months or a year. But there's a lot. I'm not saying that it's out of date, don't get me wrong, but there's some startling facts in there about, you know, working life in the north versus working life in the south. And, you know, it is going to be trying to get a square hole into a square peg into a round hole. I'm not sure which is the hole and which is the peg, right? But
indeed,
that's going to be the big challenge.
Yeah, and also,
I mean, this generationally locked in ethos is there.
Absolutely. And I suppose one of the significant things that he really does highlight in the book is the Good Friday Agreement. When it was drawn up, North and South were quite different than they are now. And if you just look in terms of demographics, and at the time in the North, it was a clearer cut choice between were you nationalist or unionist, and the choice. We've now got an increasing number of people who are regarded as Northern Irish. There's been immigration to the north and to the south, so you've a growing number of people that, you know, you wouldn't just necessarily put into one.
Yeah.
So so much to be discussed, but essentially, you know, he is really making the point that we need to understand each other more. Yeah. We need to get the facts on the table, because the changes, like German unification 30 years on, the eastern part of the old,
it's still two completely different spaces.
Yeah, so it's,
and you see the East Germans, not all of them, but East Germans are like, hold on a second, you know, we've given up an awful lot of our history and culture here. You know, what happened was wrong. And then you've got the West Germans that are more leaning towards the rest of the West, so to speak. It is going to be very, very interesting. Like the next big elections, how will Alliance do? Will their popularity continue to grow, etc.? All right, Chris, that's all on the Business Matters podcast. The focus is a chat with Paul Gosling about his new book, A New Ireland, with anyone in an interest in business, border polls, because they're all interlinked. It's not just
affects us all.
It's not just about what traditionally we may have thought a united Ireland might be like. You know, it could be fantastic for all of us. There was some figures published that were saying it was going to be terrible from a financial position. They were all poo-pooed, and it was like, no, it's not going to be half as bad as that. So we don't know. But Paul teases a lot of that out in that book. Have a listen to the podcast if you want to get the book. Chris, if people want to listen to the show, of course, they can do so now at their will. It's also scheduled for after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday. And if people want to contact you, how do they go about it?
Well, they could contact you, but if they can't get you, they can get me on businessmatters@highlandradio.com. That's the email address.
All right, Chris, see you next week. We'll be back with more after the break.
Whether it's muddy boots or outdoor gear, Cherrymore's premium kitchen and storage solutions bring style and function to your boot room or utility. Learn more at cherrymore.ie, proud sponsors of today's show.
Celebrate summer this week at Centra with our summer sizzler offers. Like selected barbecue meats, any 3 for €10. Selected Centra berries and grapes, any 2 for €5.50. And selected Cadbury large bars, 120 gram, €2 each. Centra. Live every day.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council invites you to enjoy the Baltana Festival, celebration of arts and creativity as we age, which takes place across Donegal from May 1st to 31st. Experience a month of inspiring art workshops, captivating theatre performances, music concerts, fascinating films and informative talks. All events are designed to celebrate creativity, encourage connections and enhance well-being. For full event details and bookings, visit donegalculture.ie or contact your local library. Donegal County Council, supporting our communities.
The Peugeot sales event is here with fantastic offers on the Peugeot electric and hybrid range, including the stylish 2008 SUV, Fastback 3008 and spacious 7-seater 5008. Enjoy up to €1,500 trade-in bonus, a free 3-year service plan, 5-year warranty and a free home charger. To avail of these amazing offers, visit McGinley Motors Peugeot for this special sales event from the 23rd to the 30th of May. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So today's going to bring a good deal of cloud, but some brighter sunny breaks too, along with scattered showers, though that cloud will thicken this afternoon with outbreaks of rain spreading from the southwest this evening and early tonight. Highest temperatures today 14 to 17 degrees with light to moderate westerly winds becoming southerly this evening. What's going to happen overnight? Well, mild, becoming rather breezy or windy with outbreaks of rain becoming widespread and heavy at times. Lowest temperatures 10 to 13 degrees, so pretty balmy actually. Do you want tomorrow? I'll give you tomorrow. Windy, damp and cloudy to begin with. Friday's not bad, by the way, so Friday's going to be the best of this spell. And maybe good weather going to land next week. We shall see. Interesting response from the HSE as it relates to our conversation about a surgical hub for Letterkenny or an ambulatory care. Now, this is medical stuff, but anyway, I'll read out what they said. Letterkenny University Hospital, it's they themselves that have identified the need for a standalone facility to be developed on the Letterkenny campus to provide ambulatory non-inpatient care. The hospital is currently working with HSE Capital and Estates to develop a business case for this development in line with the capital approval protocols, which would include all of the additional surgical capacity being provided by the proposed surgical hubs being created elsewhere, theatres and theatre rooms, treatments rooms, day surgery treatments. The ambulatory care will need to provide additional functionality and capacity to meet the needs of Donegal in the form of additional ambulatory cancer capacity, including much larger haematology oncology day unit, a new breast unit and an ambulatory urology accommodation and additional diagnostic facilities. Work's already commenced on the clinical health planning study for LUH, and this standalone facility will align with the strategic vision of the follow-on development control plan for the campus. The hospital will be making every effort to secure the funding and progress the significant capital development on the LUH campus in an expedient manner as is possible. So, again, I'm not sure if it's the right thing or the wrong thing, but it seems to be that LUH, did they put the eggs in this basket and not the surgical hub basket? Did Sligo, did both hospitals make an argument for a surgical hub? It would seem that plans have been well advanced for this ambulatory centre, so was a surgical hub even, I don't know, a business case being made for it from Letterkenny for its provision? You know, that you can't be given what you don't ask for. I don't know. We'll have to find that out. The terminology in this is that, yes, this is at very, very early stages. There's no guarantee of funding. The hospital will make every effort to secure the funding and progress the significant capital development on the LUH campus. So I think the assessment a little earlier on from others that the ambulatory centre is some way down the line stands. I don't see anything in this statement that contradicts that, but I'm just curious. It's not for me. I'm just curious as how much effort was made to attract a surgical hub to Letterkenny versus saying, well, actually what we need is an ambulatory centre, because you can't get what you don't ask for. I'm not saying we didn't ask for it. These are just questions that need answers. Well done to Betty Holmes, says a listener, for all her good work throughout the years from Breed. Indeed, Betty is one of a number of particularly women, actually, not exclusively, but mostly women, working very, very hard. Another is Rosina Toner. Well done to Rosina, who has also done Trojan work for cancer services in our county. Hopefully someday these ladies will get the recognition that they deserve. Well, they're not looking for it. What they want is the services, and I suppose we always recognise what they do. I try to anyway. If I was from Canada, America or New Zealand and was looking to bring a business or factory to Letterkenny, you wouldn't do it. Your staff would be stressed and be stuck in traffic. Multinationals would walk right out of Letterkenny again. I don't know. I mean, like, listen, we've got ATU. We've got a hospital. I mean, obviously, you know, there is issues with traffic, but Letterkenny and the county has so much to offer. I know where you're coming from, but you'd hope that maybe they see a bigger picture. A caller says the Swilly Bridge is badly needed. A lot of the traffic coming in from the Ramelton side are northerners looking to go home. They've no need to go into town at all. They need to be sent out via Manor. This would alleviate a lot of our traffic problems. And it's not just northern traffic. I understand what you're saying there. You're right, but lots and lots of people have other business to do. We need all hands on deck to get a surgical hub in Letterkenny. The reason for going to Sligo must be challenged. There's no plan even to provide transport to services. That comes in from Grania Hines. High-speed train from Letterkenny to Sligo, an idea now that our 100-plus year Fine Gael government have decided again to abandon the people of Donegal, their health. Pros are reduced carbon, reduced traffic quicker and safer than driving through Letterkenny and Ballybofey. Traffic jams connect the ATUs. More great for tourism and the economy, plus potential EU funding and savings from scrapping the Twin Towns bypass. Mad idea, I know, but not as mad or as wasteful as the bike shed and its audit, the Children's Hospital, and so many more of the government's decisions. The thing is though, that there are really well-organised groups of individuals arguing for a connection between Sligo and Donegal, and what we're getting is effectively, maybe, potentially, a connection between Letterkenny to Derry to Belfast to Dublin, if you get where I'm coming from. Right, 086 60 25,000. Don't forget you can WhatsApp even when we're off air. Thanks to Donna Marie Doherty, who researched and produced this week, ably assisted as always by Shannon. I think Caroline's